I was married to Liu Ruian for 10 years, but I never knew what it was to consummate our marriage. Every night, my wife told me she was scared and not ready. I respected her, enduring the pain to the point of agony, never forcing her in the slightest. However, it wasn't until the moment of my death that I learned she had married me only to complete a mission from her superiors. I was a military genius who had returned from studying in Germany to serve my country, a man with a boundless future. They didn't hesitate to use marriage to tie me down, but they didn't know that even without her, my heart was devoted to the motherland. So when I opened my eyes again, returning to the day we received our marriage certificate, I looked up at the red slogan on the wall, support monogamy, oppose arranged marriages. Suddenly, he spoke up, Liu Ruian, I don't want this marriage anymore. Hearing this, her dark, piercing eyes stared at me, deep and unreadable. What's wrong with you today? Marriage is not a joke. We've already come this far, why the sudden change of heart? She didn't say a single harsh word, but my heart felt as if it were stuffed with cotton, suffocating me. I tried to keep my voice calm. You don't like me, so why marry me? This question had tormented me for 2 lifetimes. This time, Liu Ruian countered, how do you know I don't like you? Like me. In my past life, I was also married to Liu Ruian. She treated me exceptionally well, even getting seriously injured twice while saving me. She was the perfect wife, and I thought she loved me, just that she wasn't good at expressing it. But in 10 years of marriage, despite sharing a bed, she never touched me once. For 10 years, I was deceived by Liu Ruian, living in a sexless marriage. Only on my deathbed did I learn that she wasn't frigid, she simply had no desire for me. The thought made my heart itch and my whole body tremble. Comrade, hurry up and register. Don't hold up the people behind you, the marriage registration officer urged. I suppressed my emotions and collected myself, only to see that Liu Ruian had already signed her name on the certificate. With a thud of the official stamp, we were now irrevocably husband and wife. My mood plummeted. Liu Ruian drove me back to the munitions factory in a liberation truck. The ride was silent, and I could only suppress my swirling emotions. Back at the factory, I threw all my energy into research. Normally, I could isolate myself for 10 days to half a month, but this time, thanks to my experience from the previous life, I finished the pending project in just 3 days. As soon as I left the lab, my assistant told me, Engineer, yeah, there's a phone call from Germany. I nodded coolly and picked up the receiver. My best friend's voice came from across the ocean. Fan, I've sent your wedding gift to your house. It's a suit custom designed by the master tailor, Vian. You have to wear it and let your comrades admire you. Hanging up, a sliver of anticipation bloomed in my heart. In my past life, we were in the lab and knew nothing of this gift. With that thought, I asked the factory director for an early leave to go to the senior level staff housing. An assigned guard drove me, so I arrived quickly. Before I even reached the door, I saw bright red double happiness characters pasted on the windows, and the inside was unusually bustling. My heart pounded as I pushed the door open. The scene that greeted me was Liu Ruian and another man in a suit, standing face to face. The man had a sweet smile, a red flower pinned to his chest, looking every bit the groom. I recognized him instantly, Jibata, Liu Ruian's childhood sweetheart. In my previous life, not long after we married, Jibata also got married, but he divorced just 2 years later. Liu Ruian took the opportunity to bring him and his child into our home to care for them. It was through many such incidents that I realized Liu Ruian's feelings for Jibata were anything but normal. Now, I stood at the door of my own home, flanked by 2 guards, shocked by the sight my sudden decision to come home early had revealed. If I hadn't come back in my past life, would this still have happened? My heart twisted in pain, but instead of running, I clapped my hands. Clap, clap, clap. Everyone in the room turned to look at me. The cheerful atmosphere died instantly, replaced by a tense silence. Liu Ruian frowned fiercely. Why are you back so early? Seeing her nervousness, I felt a flicker of alarm. In my past life, I might have thought she was worried about me. Now it was clear I had just been flattering myself. I didn't answer, walking straight up to Jibata. In my navy blue uniform, my tall frame and imposing presence were even more pronounced. Comrade Jibata, would you mind taking off my suit? Jibata's face turned pale, and his body trembled as he scurried into the side room to change. Immediately, Liu Ruian's cold voice came from behind me. I saw you were busy, so I asked Bata to try it on for you. Don't make things difficult for him. Her defense of him felt like nails on my skin. I'm not dead, so why would I need him to try it on for me? I retorted, my eyes sweeping over the wedding decorations in the living room, ignoring Liu Ruian's ugly expression. I don't like any of this. Please get rid of it. Since my parents' death, I've disliked crowds, let alone using someone else's hand-me-downs. Liu Ruian's face was so cold it could freeze water. Boda carefully prepared all of this for you. In my past life, I would have given in, caring about her feelings. But now, thank you, but I don't like it. As I finished speaking, Jibata, now in a plain plaid shirt, came out and spoke to me in a patronizing tone. Fan, this suit is too extravagant. If you wear it for your wedding, it will affect Ruyen's career. Let me handle it for you. The King dynasty had fallen long ago, yet Jibata still spoke to me with the tone of a court eunuch. I recalled more than 10 years ago, the first time I met Liu Ruyan and Jibata. My parents had sacrificed themselves on the battlefield, and Liu Ruyan's parents went to great lengths to bring their bodies back to Hilongjian for burial. I had suddenly become an orphan, hiding in the garden and crying alone. The young Liu Ruyan offered me a handkerchief to comfort me. All soldiers who die become stars in the sky. I took the handkerchief, about to thank her, when a young Jibata ran over, grabbed her hand, and said, Ruyan, let's go. Why talk so much to a stranger? Then pulled her away. Decades had passed, and fate seemed to have come full circle. But this time, I refused to bow down or yield. I smirked and retorted, since when is it your turn to handle my things? Even if you're a woman, you'd only be picking up what I've thrown away. Jibata's face went from white to red. Unable to bear it, he ran off crying. I felt Liu Ruyan's angry gaze on me but had nothing more to say. I turned and went into my room. That night, I was reading under the bedside lamp when Liu Ruyan suddenly lay down beside me. About today, I've thought it over. I shouldn't have let someone else touch your things. I was surprised she apologized, and my heart softened. But then, the sound of the lights out bubble echoed from the barracks. With a click, Liu Ruyan turned off the light. The room plunged into darkness. I instinctively pulled her into my arms. When I decided to return to the country, I was once held in a dark room abroad, which left me with a fear of the dark. Liu Ruyan gently patted my back, her voice soft. It's okay, it's okay. My heart calmed, and the atmosphere suddenly grew heated. I could hear her ragged breathing next to my ear. My heart fluttered, but the next second, Liu Ruyan pushed me away as if I were a snake. I felt like a bucket of ice water had been poured over my head, chilling me to the bone. Looking at her, I asked the question that had plagued me for 2 lifetimes. You clearly have a reaction, so why won't you touch me? Liu Ruyan pulled the blanket over her lower body. I'm not ready. Not ready. In my past life, 10 years weren't enough for her to prepare. A wave of bitterness washed over me. I rolled over and pinned her down. Liu Ruyan, if you refuse today, we're getting a divorce right now. The room was silent. We stared at each other. Liu Ruyan frowned. Fan, I know things are more open overseas, but this isn't a foreign country. Do you understand what shame is? My heart edged. In her mind, she probably only liked the gentle type, like Jibata. But was I not gentle enough in my past life? A 10-year sexless marriage, endured it. Juggling research while taking care of her family, endured that too. In the end, I found out my love and tolerance were just a joke. A bitter taste filled my mouth, and the smile on my lips turned sour. This has nothing to do with shame. Since you insisted on marrying me, you must fulfill your duties as a wife. I am a normal man, and I see nothing wrong with facing my own needs. If you don't want to, I still say we get a divorce. Before I could finish, Liu Ruyan cut me off, sitting up abruptly. The political commissar will not approve a divorce. We've only been married a few days. If you demand a divorce now, what will people think of us? I sneered, what do my affairs have to do with others? Liu Ruyan immediately shot back, what about your work? A divorce will definitely affect your career. You worked so hard to come back and contribute your talents to the motherland. Are you willing to let your research go unfinished over a personal matter? She laid out the pros and cons clearly, her logic impeccable, lacking only her own emotions. She didn't want a divorce, but not because she loved me. My face turned pale. Liu Ruyan softened her tone, offering a compromise about that matter. Give me more time to prepare. I knew it was just an excuse but couldn't understand. If she didn't love me, why wouldn't she divorce me? I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. On our wedding night, we shared a bed but dreamt different dreams. The next morning, without a word to Liu Ruyan, I returned to the munitions factory. A new weapons project needed testing. At the firing range, I was checking the performance of the 147. The gunshots were crisp. Weapon 147, range 150, accuracy 95. Range 200, accuracy. As I pondered improvements, applause rang out. I took off my safety glasses and turned to see an elegant woman in a black dress and glasses walking over. Fan, your new 147 is truly amazing. It was Jian Qingjun, a junior engineer at the factory. I rarely interacted with her. In my past life, we had some contact, but when Liu Ruyan saw it, she threw a huge fit, saying she couldn't stand me being with other women. Thinking back now, I had to admire her acting skills. Jian Qingjun praised the 147 in my hands for a while, then took out a blueprint. I designed a new weapon, but there's a problem I can't solve. Could you take a look? It was normal for engineers to exchange ideas. I was happy to help, so we chatted for a bit. When I turned my head, I saw Liu Ruian standing not far away, her deep eyes dark and unreadable. I panicked, quickly said goodbye to Jian Qingjun, and went to greet Liu Ruian. But she didn't even look at me, walking right past me. My heart clenched. I ignored it and returned to my research lab. For the next few days, I didn't see Liu Ruian. On the contrary, Jian Qingjun often came to find me. That day, passing by her office, I saw it was guarded by soldiers. I recognized them as Liu Ruian's men. A moment later, Jian Qingjun was escorted out, her face full of indignation. As she passed me, she cried out, "Ye Fan, save me. I'm being fired. I swear I've never offended Commander Liu. Ye Fan, you have to help me." I suddenly realized that Jian Qingjun's abrupt disappearance in my past life was because she was arrested. In a flash, I went to the military district to find Liu Ruian. She wasn't in her office, but in the political commissars. My heart tightened. Abusing her power to fire an engineer. Would Liu Ruian be okay? When I arrived, I heard a stern voice from within. Duncan Yun dared to leak information about our new 147 to a foreign country. Little Liu, how do you plan to handle this? My steps froze. Liu Ruian's cold voice pierced through the wooden door. I will tell him it's because I couldn't stand him having another woman by his side. Rest assured, political commissar, Ye Fan will not know that I married him to keep him in the country. It was like being struck by lightning. He stood there, unable to believe it. It turned out Liu Ruian and the organization had hidden the truth about Jian Qingjun from me because they didn't trust me. Compared to being deceived in love, the sting of having my loyalty questioned was far more painful. How ridiculous. I had never doubted Liu Ruian, foolishly hoping for love from her. As I stood stunned, the door suddenly opened. Our eyes met. Liu Ruian was startled. My face flushed, my hands trembling. Don't you have anything to say to me? Liu Ruian's expression changed, and she pulled me into a side room. The moment we were inside, I couldn't hold back anymore, my dark eyes blazing with anger. So this is why you married me. No wonder you didn't love me yet insisted on getting married. Liu Ruian's face suddenly darkened. Comrade Ye Fan, you like me. Isn't this outcome for the best? Why must you obsess over the reason I married you? Thinking of how I was deceived until death in my past life, my heart itched so much I couldn't breathe. Of course you wouldn't obsess, the one being deceived wasn't you. You didn't tell me because you thought Jian Qingjun and I were colluding, didn't you? A flash in Liu Ruian's eyes confirmed it. Her suspicion was a knife plunging deep into my heart. Since I became prominent in firearms engineering, countless people had approached me with temptations or threats. No matter the offer, I never wavered. To be forever loyal to the motherland and its people was the oath I swore under the national flag. I had always stayed true to myself. But Liu Ruian didn't trust me. From my past life to this one, the person I loved most treated me like an enemy, guarding against me for 10 years. The thought was suffocating. My eyes turned red as I said, word by word, Liu Ruian, I love the motherland more than anything. My parents died for this country. They believed the motherland would become a better place. I will never do anything to shame them. Liu Ruian remained stone-faced, unmoved. I couldn't understand what she was thinking. My heart felt like it was being zapped by a low-voltage current, not enough to kill me, but excruciatingly painful. My voice was tight. Liu Ruian, was it the organization that didn't trust me, or was it you? Without hesitation, Liu Ruian said in a low voice, the interests of the motherland and the people come first. I was the one who proposed this marriage to the organization. So Liu Ruian married me to use my feelings for her. I had never felt so absurd in my life. My face flushed, and I looked at her mockingly. To monitor me, you were willing to sacrifice your own marriage. How noble. I didn't give her a chance to speak. Actually, you didn't have to do any of this. Every word was laced with boundless disappointment, but also with resolve. I have my own beliefs. My love for the motherland is no less than yours. Even if we divorce, I will still be Ye Fan, the senior engineer of the Heilongjian munitions factory. With that, I pushed past Liu Ruian, who was blocking the door, and left. As our shoulders brushed, Liu Ruian seemed startled, opening her mouth to say something, but I was already gone. After that day, I buried myself in the lab, perfecting the 147. A few days later, 10 units of the 147 were produced and put into service with the army. That day, my eyelid twitched incessantly, a bad feeling rising within me. Suddenly the door to the research lab was thrown open. Liu Ruian stood at the threshold, her olive green uniform splattered with blood. Behind her were comrades from the patrol team. My heart seized. What happened to you? I asked worried. Liu Ruian's red-rimmed eyes stared at me, her voice raspy. Ye Fan, you used the 147 on a mission. But when it was fired, the gun exploded, killing one person and injuring 3. She couldn't continue, her voice choked with pain. The patrol comrade behind her added, Engineer Ye Fan, the organization requires your cooperation in an investigation. Effective immediately, Your title as senior engineer of Heilongjian is revoked. Before I could process it, the patrol team swarmed into my research lab, rummaging through everything. The fruits of my sleepless nights of research were so easily denied and trampled upon. My face went pale, my lips trembled. Be gentle, I managed to say. Li Ruian, her eyes red, gave a cold command. Take him away. My project was suspended, my office sealed. The commotion drew people from other departments, their eyes filled with contempt and resentment. What crime did Engineer Ye commit? I heard his new weapon killed someone. He must have tampered with it. People like him must be strictly interrogated. The interrogation room was 4 white walls with a glaring red slogan hanging high above, betraying the motherland is a shame. I sat in a chair, my hands cupped. Li Ruian, her eyes red, questioned me. Did you tamper with that batch of guns? What agreement did you have with Jian Qingyun? Speak. My heart felt like it was being pricked by needles. After a long while, I moistened my dry lips. There was none. The 147 went through multiple rounds of testing and repeated modifications. All the data was measured by my own hands, and the design was confirmed by me. It was escorted by your soldiers when it was delivered to the factory for production, wasn't it? Li Ruian's bloodshot eyes stared at me. Then what about the explosion? You told me to trust you. My soldier is dead. He was only 18. Her words stabbed straight into my heart. After a long pause, I said shakily, if it was my mistake, I will take responsibility. But you cannot doubt my loyalty time and time again. Li Ruian started to say something else, but seeing my own red-rimmed eyes, she fell silent. I took a deep breath, suppressing my emotions, and remembered that this problem never occurred in my past life. The research for the 147 was rushed, but I wasn't a novice engineer. Let me see the weapons from the dead and injured, I said suddenly. Li Ruian frowned suspiciously but still brought me the exploded firearm. Under her watch, I disassembled the 147 piece by piece and found an anomaly, an extra component on the bolt that was not in my design. Li Ruian referenced it with the blueprint and confirmed the gun had been tampered with during production. After finding this clue, Li Ruian drove me in the liberation truck to the military hospital to visit the wounded. Seeing the 3 18-year-old boys lying weakly on the hospital beds, a mix of pain and self-blame rose in my heart. If it weren't for the 147, they wouldn't be like this. I created weapons to protect the motherland. How did it turn out like this? Li Ruian's lips were pressed into a thin line, silent. The political commissar spoke words of comfort. Engineer Ye, what a weapon is used for depends on the user. Using a knife for self-defense is different from using a knife to kill. The sorrow and confusion in my heart eased. I volunteered to join the investigation, and the political commissar agreed. Following the clues, I discovered the incident was related to Jibata. He was a production worker at the factory, responsible for the key components of the 147. I was about to request an investigation into Jibata from the organization, but Li Ruian stopped me. Yeah Fan, don't go too far. This isn't something you can request lightly. If it wasn't Bada, you would ruin his entire life. I was stunned by her angry tone, and then an indescribable sadness washed over me. Then have you thought about what will happen to my career and my life if this isn't investigated clearly? Li Ruian stood tall, avoiding my gaze. In any case, I guarantee with my life and character that Bada would not do such a thing. My head was buzzing. You guarantee? What is your relationship with him that you can guarantee it? Li Ruian maintained her righteous demeanor, gathering all the documents related to Jibata. She swore, I watched him grow up. I consider him my own brother. Watching her actions, I suddenly remembered her feelings for Jibata in my past life. My stomach turned, and I almost threw up. Though my heart felt like it was being cut by a knife, my words were merciless. You and Jibata make me sick. Fan, what do you mean? Li Ruian's clear black and white eyes stared at me, her chest heaving. I refused to back down. Just as we were confronting each other, there was a sound at the door. I looked over and saw Jibata walk in, holding a key to my house. Seeing the tense atmosphere, he feigned a gentle demeanor and tried to mediate. Fan, as a husband, you should be more understanding of your wife. I've taken care of Ruian since we were little. Even after I get married, I will continue to take care of her. You're busy and not at home. Ruian gets lonely. Don't fight every time you see each other. Just listening to him, I could already picture scenes of him and Li Ruian together while I was away. I asked angrily, you're not even married yet and you're already thinking about taking care of another woman. Does Li Ruian not have hands? She's a grown woman who can't take care of herself and needs you to do it. Jibata's face turned pale, his eyes red. Li Ruian shot me a glare, then turned to wipe his tears. Bada, this has nothing to do with you. You should go home first. Jibata brightened up. Ruian, don't fight with brother Ye because of me. Li Ruian hummed in agreement. Seeing their affectionate interaction, I remembered the 10 years of deception in my past life. Anger mixed with pain. Why did Li Ruian choose Jibata over me time and time again? She rubbed her temples, her voice cold. Comrade Yafan, not everyone is like you, having studied abroad with progressive ideas. You shouldn't talk to Bada like that. They only found it ironic. You think I look down on him because I've read more books? Even if I were uneducated, I wouldn't consider marriage and women as everything. Liu Ruyan was truly angry now. You're too arrogant. She was about to say more, but I cut her off. If you don't want me to report you for improper relations between men and women, you better keep your distance from Jibata. With that, I slammed the door and left. To vent my anger, I returned to the munitions factory and buried myself in experiments. I didn't see Liu Ruyan again until the day I had to deliver documents to the military district. Unexpectedly, a group of men rushed out from the factory, threw a sack over my head, and dragged me away. Before I could resist, my world went dark. My heart leaped into my throat. As I was thinking of how to call for help, I heard the sounds of fighting around me. Soon the sack was pulled off. Liu Ruyan appeared before me. Before I could feel relieved, I saw a man lunging at her with a knife. My heart skipped a beat. Be careful, Liu Ruyan was stabbed, but she reacted quickly and took down the assailant. When the surroundings quieted, I saw a 10-centimeter long wound on her shoulder, blood staining her green uniform. Forgetting our previous argument, I went to support her, my voice trembling. You're hurt. Liu Ruyan's lips were pale, her forehead beaded with sweat. I'm fine. Don't walk alone in the future. I didn't answer. A sour feeling welled up inside me. In my past life, she had saved me several times, even at the risk of her own life. I once thought it was love, but it was only out of responsibility. Because I was a senior engineer, not her husband. Swallowing the bitterness, I wanted to take her to get her wound treated, but she refused. I'll escort you back to the factory. The matter with Bada has also been cleared up. It was just a misunderstanding. The warmth that had just begun to bloom in my heart turned cold again. I don't remember how I got back to the factory, but I threw myself back into research. When I came to my senses, many days had passed without seeing Liu Ruyan. The top-secret weapons project, Project 77, had begun. I died because of it in my last life. Reborn, I would not accept failure. With that thought, I took my application to the office of the military district commander. Unexpectedly, Liu Ruyan was also there. A glint of light flashed in her cold eyes. I was about to ask about her wound when the commander spoke first. Little Liu, about Project 77, do you think there's any problem with your husband participating? Liu Ruyan glanced at me and said seriously, Commander, although Comrade Yafan is highly capable, his rear support is unstable. He is not suitable for participation. My head felt like it had been hit by a hammer. The commander was surprised. A husband and wife with conflicting opinions. This puts the organization in a difficult position. Well, you two sort it out yourselves. Outside the commander's office, my hands were shaking with anger. The sound of soldiers training on the field couldn't drown out my furious questioning. Commander Liu, may I ask what unstable rear support means? Liu Ruyan stood ramrod straight in her uniform. Unstable rear support refers to an unstable marital relationship, leading to family discord. Anger, disappointment, and pain surged through me. I almost lost my mind. Liu Ruyan, don't you find it ridiculous coming from your mouth? Before, you said a divorce would affect my research. Now you're using unstable rear support to exclude me from a core project. What on earth did I do wrong for you to treat me like this? My voice was hoarse and weak. Liu Ruyan remained indifferent, righteous. Your 147 killed someone before. What if a problem occurs while you're participating in core research? The mention of the 18-year-old soldier's sacrifice made my chest itch, my hands tremble. But Liu Ruyan, I am not the enemy. The one who truly killed him was Jibata, who is still at large because of your favoritism. At the mention of Jibata, Liu Ruyan's expression changed. Don't be jealous and bring Bada into this. If you were willing to live a proper life, perhaps our lives would be different. Her voice was like ice. My face turned pale. Was I not good enough to her in my past life? But she never softened. Perhaps I was never a husband in her eyes. First, I am talking about justice, not jealousy. Second, this is a new era, you can't stop me. If you think I don't want to live a proper life with you, you can find someone else. Liu Ruyan's calm face showed a flicker of shock, rendering her speechless. I didn't want to argue anymore and walked past her. The more disappointed and hurt I was, the more I poured my energy into the lab. In matters of love, Liu Ruyan could say I was no good, that she didn't love me. But in my work, she had no say. 3 days later, I brought the research data for the new weapon to the commander. I want to participate in the secret research. The commander reviewed it, then stood up and shook my hand. Comrade Yefan, welcome aboard. It's just that we must inform Comrade Liu. New Liu's being separated for a year. I'll give you 3 days to say your goodbyes. Thank you, Commander. Leaving the office, I didn't go back to the family quarters but planned to visit my parents' graves. Unexpectedly, as I left, I saw Liu Ruiyan standing not far away in her uniform. Our eyes met in silence. A proud person who refuses to bow their head, even in front of the one they love most. In the car, I said nothing, but Liu Ruiyan knew my affairs well and drove straight to the cemetery. As I got out of the car, I saw Liu Ruiyan's parents, a stern-looking couple in military uniforms. I had always regarded them as my benefactors because they brought my parents' bodies back from the battlefield. "Uncle, Auntie," I said softly, my eyes gentle. Mrs. Liu hummed in acknowledgement. Mr. Li wiped his hands and said nothing. I paid them no mind, kneeling down to prepare offerings for my parents. As I began to pay my respects, a mournful bugle call sounded from a distance. I looked over and saw 2 lines of soldiers. 2 soldiers were carrying a box draped in a red cloth. It was a ceremony to bring a hero's remains home. Watching the box approach, my heart filled with respect. Just as I was about to look away, the 2 soldiers brought the box before me. In a solemn voice, one said, "Engineer Yahe, we are bringing the hero's remains home. After confirmation, these are your father's remains." The 4 of us present were stunned. "How can that be?" Mrs. Liu asked in disbelief. The escort captain handed me a box. "Engineer Yahe, this was found in the hero's chest cavity. We believe it was the most important thing he kept with him." My hands trembled as I opened the box. Inside was a faded oval locket. Opening it revealed a faded black and white photo, but I could still recognize my parents holding me, smiling happily. A deeply buried memory resurfaced. Before the war, my father took us for a family photo. He secretly put the photo in the locket and placed it in his breast pocket. "Dad, if you miss me, look at this." He ruffled my hair. "Yifan, wait for Mom and Dad to come home." But the war claimed 35 million of our countrymen, my parents among them. To this day, I still remembered their faces clearly. My heart itched, my eyes turned red. I don't know how I processed this news. By the time the wind had dried my tears, Liu Ruiyan had already taken her parents home. My heart felt hollow, a cold wind blowing through it, leaving only frost. Liu Ruiyan came over and explained, "My parents said the situation was chaotic back then. They didn't know the bodies they brought back weren't your parents." I rarely cried, but looking at her now, my eyes reddened again. "I always saw your parents as my benefactors. I saw it as the beginning of the fate between us. In my past life, because of that, no matter how cold you were, how you deceived me, I never blamed you. Even on my deathbed, I wondered why you didn't love me, what I did wrong. The prouder one is, the more persistent. But what if it was all wrong from the very beginning?" Tears streamed down my face, and I sobbed silently. Liu Ruiyan had rarely seen me cry like this and awkwardly tried to comfort me. "Your parents died for the country. They would be proud of you in heaven." I looked up at her, her cold eyes matching the little girl who had comforted me all those years ago. For a moment, I couldn't tell the time. "Do you know why I like you?" I asked. Liu Ruiyan's lips were pressed together, silent. She had never thought about it. I suppressed the bitterness and said word by word, "The first time we met was at my parents' funeral. You comforted me just like this." Liu Ruiyan frowned, trying to remember, but couldn't. Clearly, she had forgotten. The memories I cherished meant nothing to her. He smiled, my lips full of bitterness. "Liu Ruiyan, let's just forget it. I'm tired too." With that, I turned to Li. As I passed her, Liu Ruiyan's heart was in turmoil. She reached out to grab me, but her fingers only brushed against my sleeve, unable to hold on. From that day on, I locked myself away in research. In a flash, it was October. War broke out on the southeastern peninsula. The motherland sent troops to assist, and batch after batch of soldiers crossed the Yahello River. Fortunately, my new weapon had a breakthrough. After testing, the commander decided to put it into use, needing only someone familiar with its maintenance to escort it. I signed up and went home first to pack. Unexpectedly, as soon as I walked in, Liu Ruiyan questioned me. "Who have you been in contact with during this time?" "What did you say?" I was bewildered. "You've been in research the whole time. What happened?" Liu Ruiyan looked at me with unconcealed suspicion. "You really don't know?" "I intercepted a telegram sent abroad. It contained data from your secret project." I understood. She suspected me of leaking weapon data. My heart turned to ice. Looking at the person I once loved to the bone, I felt wary. "Liu Ruiyan, no matter how coldly I'm treated, even if I can no longer do research, I will never regret returning to the country. If there is even one chance, I will dedicate my flesh and blood to the motherland. I only regret that on the day we got our marriage certificate, I wasn't firm enough in my refusal." The room grew cold. Liu Ruiyan's face was full of anger, her voice icy. "Yifan, you were the one who said you liked me, and you're the one who regrets marrying me. Does your love change so quickly?" Faced with her sarcasm, I clenched my fists. My love didn't change quickly. It was worn away by your constant suspicion. Liu Ruiyan frowned, her lips a thin line. "Yifan, Now is not the time to talk about this. Do you know how much pressure a data leak will put on the front lines? I was done explaining. I just asked back, do you have proof? I've been in the factory's research lab this whole time, under surveillance. I haven't left, nor have I had contact with outsiders. You can check. If you have no proof, then find proof before you talk to me. With that, I pushed past her, intending to leave. But she grabbed me. If you leave, you're fleeing from guilt. Until this is cleared up, you must stay within my sight. My hands trembled. I had worked through sleepless nights, accepted surveillance. Yet she still didn't trust me. In my past life, her words, "I will always believe you," still echoed in my ears, now just empty air. Liu Ruian's righteous face finally matched my memory. I have more important things to do. I can't stay here, I struggled. Suddenly, a familiar voice came from the door. Are you two fighting again? Jibata saw that no one answered and walked in with a smirk, putting his arm around Liu Ruian's shoulder, gently advising, as long as it's not a matter of principle, Ruian, your brother Ye's wife, you should give in to him a little. Seeing their actions, my eyes flashed with sarcasm. Jibata caught it and turned to advise me, Brother Ye, Ruian is a commander. At a crucial time like this, an unstable rear will affect her career. I only found it jarring. This marriage was tainted from the start by Liu Ruian's ulterior motives. How was it now my fault for causing discord? I didn't want to argue endlessly. Then advise her to divorce me. A liability like me shouldn't hold back Commander Liu's career. This was the third time I had brought up divorce. Liu Ruian's face was so cold it could freeze water. There's a saying, things don't happen more than 3 times. Fan, I won't give in to you either. You also know that saying. I don't need a wife who constantly suspects me. Liu Ruian was choked, unable to speak. Fine. Let's get a divorce now. We left Jibata behind and went straight out. Jibata watched our retreating figures with a triumphant smirk. In the commander's office, he looked at our divorce report and took a sip of tea from his porcelain cup. There are no conflicts that a husband and wife can't overcome. I will not approve this divorce. Seeing the report was about to be rejected, I said suddenly, Commander, I have something to say to you in private. Liu Ruian was startled. What are you going to say? It has nothing to do with you, I said coldly. Seeing we were about to argue, the commander intervened. Little Liu, you go outside. I'll talk to little Ye. Once Liu Ruian was gone, I said, Commander, I request to escort the weapons to the front lines. The commander looked at me, his eyes gleaming. Are you sure? A high-level talent like you is more useful in the rear. I shook my head resolutely. I just want to follow in my parents' footsteps. Even if I die for the country, I am willing. Strong winds test sturdy grass, a loyal heart breaks stone. The commander sighed, his admiration unconcealed, and then signed the divorce approval. Outside, Liu Ruian stood straight by the door, her brow furrowed. She was about to say something when I handed her the report. Commander Liu, from now on, we have nothing to do with each other. With that, I walked away, ignoring her expression. But as I turned my back, tears fell uncontrollably. The love of 2 lifetimes was over. Though my heart itched as if it were being cut by glass, I didn't stop. I would not turn back for someone who didn't love me. Liu Ruian watched my receding figure, a strange discomfort in her heart. Because part of the weapon data had been leaked, I had to quickly complete the research and transport it to the battlefield. At the end of the year, under heavy snow, I led nearly 100 people on a secret escort mission to the peninsula. On the train to the Yahello River, crossing it meant leaving our homeland. I looked back in the direction of home. A fellow soldier asked, Engineer Ye, it's rare to see a high-level intellectual like you on the battlefield. Are you married? Do you have children? Thinking of Liu Ruian, my lips tasted bitter. No. Divorced. The female soldier smiled, her face full of sorrow. I have twin sons, 5 years old this year. They told me to wait for me to bring them back presents. Me too. My wife and parents are waiting for me to come home. In reality, the odds were 9 to 1 against us, but we still went to protect our motherland. I raised the red flag and comforted them. We will win quickly. Your children will witness a strong motherland. The order to cross the river and the bugle call sounded. We sang with heroic spirit as we crossed the Yahello River. The heroic song cut through the cold. Goodbye, motherland. Goodbye, Liu Ruian. I withdrew my gaze from Heilongjian and silently bid farewell. The team marched for 5 days and 5 nights. With 1 kilometer left, we learned there were enemies ahead. Detouring would delay us by 3 days, costing the lives of front-line soldiers. Everyone agreed to press on. Even if only 1 person survived, the weapons had to be delivered. We made a detailed plan to sneak through the trenches at night. He agreed. The first 10 minutes went smoothly. Just as we neared our destination, gunfire erupted. My heart sank. Run. But before I could finish, my comrades automatically formed a shield around me, using their bodies to protect me. In the hail of bullets, they shouted, Engineer Ye, don't look back, go forward. You are a national talent. You must live to contribute. I watched the female soldier who had just been smiling and talking to me fall. My comrades fell one by one, their blood dyeing my uniform red. The path to the other side was paved with the flesh and blood of my countrymen. I had no time to grieve, only one thought, forward, forward. Until the mission was complete, I ran without stopping. In the end, only I was left. I was shot but didn't give up, gritting my teeth and running on. 100 meters, 50 meters. Until I saw the green uniforms of our army. Comrades, the weapons have arrived safely. I gasped, then fell, exhausted, looking up at the white sky. Blood pooled beneath me, the pain and cold piercing through me, but to sacrifice my life for the motherland was worth it. I only hoped the war would end soon, that our 400 million countrymen could hold their heads high in the world. That people like me would no longer be wrongly accused, no longer be suspected. Perhaps there were no regrets left in this life. I thought of Liu Ruian again. I wondered if she would believe me this time. I smirked but couldn't smile. Before my eyes, the figures of my parents seemed to appear. They had come to get me. May our mountains and rivers be safe. May our nation be strong. With that, my hand fell limp, and my eyes closed. At the same time, in Heilongjian, Liu Ruian was interrogating an enemy agent when a sharp pain, like a needle, pierced her heart. She doubled over in pain, not understanding why, and couldn't recover for a long time. Suddenly, her guard reported, "Commander Liu," he confessed. "He's meeting with the ambushers at 10 p.m. tonight on Central Avenue." Liu Ruian's lips were pale. She suppressed the pain and prepared for the arrest. After the guard left, she called the factory to find Comrade Ye Fan, but only got his assistant. "Sorry, Commander Liu, Engineer Ye is in the middle of research and cannot take calls." The line went dead. Liu Ruian frowned at the dial tone. Still angry. But suspecting him was official business. Besides, since the day I agreed to the divorce, I've regretted it. I was too impulsive then. I planned to wait for you to cool down and talk properly. I never disliked you when I married you. I always wanted to live a good life with you. Why are you still holding a grudge after so many days? Liu Ruian couldn't figure it out. She put down the phone and focused on the arrest. At 10 p.m., Central Avenue in Heilongjian was cold and deserted. Liu Ruian led her men in waiting. Then, a figure wrapped in a scarf furtively approached. "Arrest him," she ordered. The guards rushed out and subdued the person. Liu Ruian went closer and recognized the face. "Why is it you?" She couldn't believe it, her heart filled with anger. "Since when have you been colluding with the enemy? How many treacherous things have you done? You are a descendant of the Red Army. Don't you know your actions bring shame to your family?" She was truly heartbroken. She had always treated Jibata like a brother. With witnesses and evidence, Jibata didn't deny it. His eyes gleamed with madness. He didn't confess to selling intelligence, only cried to Liu Ruian. "Ruian, you should trust me like you used to. Now that Ye Fan is gone, you can marry me. I did it to drive him away, so we could be together." Liu Ruian was horrified, her fists clenched. "Jibata, you're insane. Take him away." Watching him being led away, she suddenly remembered that every time she argued with me, Jibata was there, fanning the flames. In the 147 case, she had traced it to him but didn't pursue it. At that moment, the urge to see me was overwhelming. She had to apologize to me. Because of her favoritism, the culprit had been at large. Liu Ruian rushed to drive the liberation truck to the factory to find me and explain everything, but she was summoned to the commander's office. Comrade Ye Fan volunteered to escort the weapons to the front lines a long time ago. We have no news of him yet. How can that be? Liu Ruian felt as if she had been dealt a heavy blow, her face pale. The commander sighed. Comrade Liu, the nation's interests come first. So she had misunderstood me. I was truly willing to sacrifice for the motherland. Liu Ruian wilted like a deflated balloon. She was glad we shared the same ideals, but she remembered the words she had said to me, now coming back to haunt her. In the following days, Liu Ruian constantly sought news from the front lines, but there was no word of me. She had been on the battlefield and knew the dangers. No news was the best news, but she couldn't bear the longing. After settling her affairs, she applied to go to the front lines to find me and fight by my side. Unexpectedly, just as she was about to depart, the first batch of fallen heroes returned. The soldiers sadly carried boxes draped in red cloth, with small photos attached to the front. They went with red flowers on their chests and returned draped in red flags. Liu Ruian led her team to make way, her eyes red as she saluted each one. With every box that passed, her heart tightened, afraid to see a familiar face. The next second, my photo passed by. Liu Ruian's world turned black and white. Her heart seized. The 3 years of waiting had become a flag-draped box before her eyes. She should have known. Frontline reports told of soldiers freezing to death in the cold. The disparity in strength was great, our side was weaker in weaponry, and casualties were countless. I was just a research scientist. Even if I knew how to use a gun, it would be hard to survive. The unknown soldiers were brought to the cemetery. The scene was filled with the cries of their relatives. Liu Ruyan walked up to my black and white photo, reaching out to touch it, but her hand trembled uncontrollably. The soldier holding the casket found it strange. "What is your relationship with Engineer Ye?" Liu Ruyan was dazed, then said firmly, "I am his wife." The soldier stood at attention. "If my hands weren't holding this box, I would salute you." Engineer Ye risked his life to deliver the secret weapons. The entire escort team of 100 people was sacrificed. We will remember their contribution. Liu Ruyan looked at the youthful face in the photo. My life had stopped forever at the brilliant age of 26. In the end, I had followed in my parents' footsteps, dying for the country. She suppressed her pain. Because of my sacrifice, researchers were given more freedom and higher status. If anything happened, they were no longer the first to be suspected and could conduct their research in peace in the rear. My colleagues organized a memorial service for me at the military district gate. Liu Ruyan received an invitation from my assistant. He said respectfully, "Commander Liu, we are holding a memorial service for Engineer Ye. We sincerely invite you to attend." But Liu Ruyan shook her head and refused. "I have military duties. I'm afraid I won't have time." With that, she turned to leave. The assistant still tried to persuade her. "Commander Liu, during the memorial, we will talk about Engineer Ye's life. But Liu Ruyan was already gone. She didn't want to hear about my life from others' mouths. Those were our memories, only she was qualified to recall them, to miss them, to repent for them, for the rest of her life. She was now 28, but her hair had turned white overnight. She had already received the divorce papers I left behind. From that moment on, we were strangers. The memorial service was grand. The commander personally attended, and posthumously awarded me the title of Revolutionary Martyr. Liu Ruyan stood in the distance, watching as my black and white photo was placed in the martyr's shrine, becoming a monument for future generations to admire. She finally understood why I had asked that question on our wedding day. "You don't like me, so why marry me?" It wasn't that she didn't like me, it was that she didn't know how to love. She was taught to put the country and the people first, to put her mission above all else. But she forgot that I was also a person, her husband, who needed her love and trust. When the crowd dispersed, Liu Ruyan walked alone to my photo. She reached out, her fingers finally touching my face in the picture. "Ifan, I was wrong. In our next life, let me be the one to love you." Tears streamed down her face. In the cold wind of Heilongjian, a lone figure stood before the martyr's shrine, a silent and eternal vigil. "As his wife, you surely understand what kind of person he is. We can't do without you." Liu Huyen suddenly stopped walking, her body stiffening slightly beneath her military uniform. "Understand him." She carefully recalled her past with me, but her memories were filled with nothing but arguments and repeated distrust. Thinking back now, it's no wonder I demanded a divorce. Liu Huyen suppressed the surging emotions in her eyes, and her cold gaze returned to calm. "I'm sorry," she said, just a single word, but her voice was tinged with a sob, revealing her sadness. After leaving, Liu Huyen secretly attended the memorial service. She hadn't slept well for days, her eyes red as she stared at the munitions factory. Standing outside, she watched as people in black long dresses or black junction suits offered flowers to me. Every little story they told reached her ears. Although Deep Calm looked cold, when I asked him about a problem, he would still patiently teach me. Liu Huyen thought, that's right, despite his cold exterior, I was actually very willing to help. People shared a few more stories about his daily life, and Liu Huyen felt a warmth in her heart. The last time he was taken away for investigation, I actually thought he had truly betrayed the country. At this point, everyone lowered their heads in shame and fell silent. In the silence, an assistant took the stage to speak. His voice, amplified by the microphone, echoed everywhere. "The green mountains remain, spring returns quietly, pear blossoms fall like snow. A year of integrity is like tea. An inch of our country, an inch of blood, a handful of hot earth, a handful of souls. With great respect, we commemorate Comrade Diep Phim, who used his life to protect the dignity of our scientists. We will no longer be looked down upon. We can now voice our opinions on the international stage. Comrades, death is not the true loss, being forgotten is the eternal demise. He will live forever in our hearts." The stirring speech concluded, and the memorial service ended. Liu Huyen also left. As months passed, she felt as if each day was a year. But life had to go on. She devoted all her energy to the country. She thought that since I had sacrificed for the nation, she would not be outdone, she would fight to fulfill my dreams. She was willing to sacrifice her own life. In 1956, Liu Huyen was on the verge of a promotion. Her parents were overjoyed. Mrs. Li's face beamed as she watched Mr. Liu seriously discuss what to prepare. Mr. Liu, sitting on the sofa reading the newspaper, also showed a rare smile. "Prepare what? We must be humble. Our daughter has prospects because she risked her life on the battlefield. Thinking of that, Mrs. Liu calmed down. You're right. Since Deep Fam's death, she's been reckless as if she doesn't value her life. They see that she has no one to look after her, no children. If something happens, the Liu family line will end. It's time to find her a husband. At this, Mrs. Liu became excited. Previously, the mayor's wife wanted to introduce her son. I didn't agree then. A few days ago, I met the chief's son, Quan Lam. He's handsome, a university graduate, a perfect match for our daughter. Mr. Liu folded his newspaper in silence, but his approval was clear. And so, a blind date was arranged. Liu Huyen knew nothing about it. As she was leaving the chief's office to go home, a figure in a green military uniform suddenly jumped into her passenger seat. It was her deputy commander, Lam Dutu. Liu Huyen said nothing and started the car. Lam Dutu chattered endlessly. Commander Liu, I invite you to my house for dinner. Liu Huyen coldly refused. No need. Don't be like that. My wife has already cooked. There's plenty for you. There's no one to take care of you at your place, so come eat with me. His words carried a hint of showing off. Liu Huyen ignored him. Seeing her silence, Lam Dutu asked curiously, It's been so long, don't you plan on finding someone? My son is already 3 years old. Having a wife and child is a warm and wonderful thing. If you're not in a hurry, your parents must be. Liu Huyen's voice was blunt. Say one more word and you're getting out of the car. Lam Dutu finally fell silent. When they arrived at his home, a grubby little child shot out like a firecracker and hugged Lam Dutu's leg. Daddy, Lam Dutu happily rubbed his son's bald head. Seeing this scene, Liu Huyen's eyes darkened. If she and I had lived well, perhaps our child would be this big by now. What would our child have been like? A bitter feeling made Liu Huyen clench her fists. She would never know. One Friday evening, Liu Huyen was called home by her parents, who lived in a different military district. Upon arriving, she took off her cap and hung her coat on a hook before walking in. The aroma of food wafted out. Entering the room, she saw a strange man in a plaid shirt sitting on the sofa. When he saw her, he stood up shyly. Commander Liu, it's a pleasure to meet you for the first time. Liu Huyen was beautiful, with delicate features. She wasn't short, but compared to the typically tall women of the Northeast, she was more slender, giving her a captivating overall appearance. Looking at the stranger, her face turned cold. The man smiled. Quan Lam. Just then, Mrs. Liu, wearing an apron, came out from the kitchen with a dish. Seeing her daughter, she smiled. Yen, you're back. Liu Huyen nodded, her eyes scanning Quan Lam as if to ask, who is he? Why is he in our house? Mrs. Liu put the dish down, wiped her hands, and walked over to Quan Lam. This is Chief Quan's son. He came for dinner today. Then, the two of them looked at each other and smiled. A strange young man suddenly appearing in the house. Liu Huyen immediately thought of Lam Dutu's words, and her face grew colder, her lips pressed into a thin line. She was about to say something when she saw Mr. Liu and Chief Quan coming down the stairs, laughing and talking. Yen is back. Liu Huyen stood at attention and greeted them. Chief Quan was kind. At home, there's no need to be so formal. The five of them sat down to eat. During the meal, Liu Huyen could feel the satisfied gazes of her parents and the chief directed at her and Quan Lam. She understood clearly that this was a matchmaking attempt. Suppressing her anger, she kept her head down and ate, not saying a word from beginning to end. After the meal, they told her to take Quan Lam for a walk outside. Liu Huyen looked at his expectant face, pursed her lips, but with the chief present, she couldn't refuse. Let's go. With that, she walked ahead. Quan Lam said goodbye to her parents and followed. The two walked along a park path, maintaining a certain distance, looking very detached. The entire way was silent, the atmosphere extremely awkward. It wasn't until a child bumped into Quan Lam, nearly causing him to fall, that Liu Huyen steadied him. As she got close, she didn't smell strong cologne but a faint scent of soap. Thank you. It's nothing. Just then, the sound of a child crying cut through the silence. Liu Huyen bent down, picked up the child, and gently soothed him. You're a little man, don't cry. She didn't continue walking until she had returned him to his parents. Quan Lam witnessed this, and his favorable impression of her soared. He hurried to catch up, asking along the way, what do you like? When she returned home after dropping off Quan Lam and his father, Mrs. Liu eagerly asked, how was it? Liu Huyen was blunt, don't waste your effort. I don't want to remarry. Her cold attitude was like a bucket of cold water poured over Mrs. Liu. She was about to say something, but Liu Huyen had already left. In the following days, Liu Huyen often ran into Quan Lam. He would also send her gifts, sometimes food, sometimes things for daily use. Today, in her office, she answered the phone. Commander Liu, Comrade Quan Lam is looking for you. Liu Huyen's eyes grew cold. She hung up and went to the military district gate. When Quan Lam saw her, he happily held up a box. Before he could finish speaking, Leung Hue-yen handed him a box of her own. Comrade Quan Lam, these are the things you sent before. Please don't send any more in the future. Quan Lam was stunned. Why? Leung Hue-yen was serious. I have deep feelings for my late husband. My heart has no room for anyone else. Marrying would only be unfair to the other person. Quan Lam's face turned pale. He bit his lip. How can that be? I heard your marriage wasn't good, that he had already filed for divorce before going to the front lines. Is it because I am not good enough? Leung Hue-yen lowered her eyes, remembering me. If it were me, I certainly wouldn't think I wasn't good enough. I would say that life has many things to do, the world doesn't revolve around a woman, and a man's worth isn't determined by a woman. Her pale lips curved into a slight smile. It's not that you're not good, it's that my heart has no more room. Quan Lam didn't understand. He only knew that the first person he had ever liked had rejected him so heartlessly. His eyes turned red. He didn't take the items back, but instead ran away crying. Leung Hue-yen looked at the things in her hand, shook her head helplessly, and planned to send them back. You are truly heartless. Suddenly, Lam Duta's voice rang out. Leung Hue-yen turned to see him walking out with a blade of grass in his mouth. She silently handed him the box. Take this to Chief Quan's house for me. Lam Duta accepted the order. A subordinate being ordered by a superior had no choice but to comply. The news of Leung Hue-yen rejecting Quan Lam quickly reached her parents. They called and scolded her. Quan Lam has a good family background, is handsome, and educated, yet you don't want him. What kind of person are you looking for? People your age already have several children, and you're still single. I think you want the Lee family line to end. Hearing the scolding, Leung Hue-yen didn't reply and hung up. Looking at the moon outside the window, she felt tired. Living alone in this world was truly lonely. Deep femme, if only you were still alive, she thought. But soon after, Leung Hue-yen had no time for romance. The country went through several campaigns, and she participated in all of them. In June 1965, the battlefield was fierce, with heavy enemy fire. The 72nd Regiment, led by Leung Hue-yen, was surrounded and suffered heavy casualties. She was also in a terrible state. Lam Dutu, his face covered in blood, his chest heaving, had a ferocious look in his eyes, completely different from his usual lazy demeanor. I'll fight them to the death, he said, about to charge out, but Leung Hue-yen stopped him. Going out now is suicide. Think about your wife and son. Lam Duta let out a long sigh and cried. We'll just have to wait for reinforcements. I'll go out and draw their fire. Lam Duta's expression changed. No, this is an order. Lam Duta did not object. The opportunity was fleeting. Without hesitation, Leung Hue-yen grabbed a grenade and rushed out. As soon as she was out, she was surrounded by the enemy. She held the grenade and charged forward. The panicked enemy soldiers pointed their guns at her. Before they could fire, Leung Hue-yen pulled the pin and threw herself at one of them. Boom! A loud explosion rang out. Her figure was engulfed in black smoke. Leung Hue-yen thought she was dead, but suddenly, a dazzling light shone in her eyes. 1 second she was in excruciating pain, the next, there was nothing. When she opened her eyes, she saw me standing in front of her, unable to believe it. For over 10 years, I had never appeared in her dreams. To see me again after dying. Deep femme, you're finally willing to see me. But as soon as she spoke, I slapped her across the face, my eyes red with anger as I questioned her. Leung Hue-yen, so you married me just to monitor me? You scum. Leung Hue-yen held her cheek. The pain in her ear was nothing compared to the pain of the explosion, like a mere scratch, but it left her stunned. The pain was real. She looked around. This was the military district office from 10 years ago. Combined with what I just said, this must be right after I overheard her despicable words to the political commissar. She had regretted it countless times. If she could go back to this moment, she would absolutely not have said those things. Now, it was clear she had returned, but it was so absurd that she dared not believe it. Seeing Leung Hue-yen in a daze, I frowned angrily. What are you thinking? How to deceive me again? Leung Hue-yen tentatively asked. Did you hear what I said to the political commissar? Her words reminded me, and my face turned pale. I also love our country. Otherwise, I wouldn't have risked my life to come back. They held my passport, detained me, but I persisted in returning. My parents sacrificed themselves for this country. They believed our nation would become better. I will absolutely not let them be ashamed. You have your beliefs, and I have mine. I will never betray my beliefs and my country. Hearing my words, identical to those from her past life, Leung Hue-yen confirmed that she had been reborn to the time right after the incident. If there was such a thing as rebirth, why couldn't it have sent her back a few hours earlier, so I wouldn't have known the truth? But what was done, it couldn't be changed. The urgent task was to fix things. She remembered that after this, many things happened that prevented their relationship from ever mending. Suddenly, I asked, is it the organization that doesn't trust me, or is it you who doesn't trust me? Liu Huyen looked at me. She could choose to lie, but she couldn't bear to use deceit to salvage their relationship. The interests of the country and the people come first. I was the one who proposed this marriage. I had never felt my life was so ridiculous. My face flushed with sarcastic anger. To monitor me, you're willing to sacrifice your marriage. How noble. Hearing the sarcasm, Liu Huyen also felt uncomfortable. Her voice suddenly deepened. Do you understand me? I sneered, my face red with anger. No, I don't understand you at all. If you didn't want to, who could have forced you to marry? The two spoke in unison, their voices blending, but I still clearly heard Liu Huyen's words. I was stunned again. What did she mean? Seeing me looking down without answering, Liu Huyen was slightly uncertain. Did he understand what I meant? Do I need to be more direct? Thinking this, her lips moved. I'm saying you and I could have. Before she could finish, I cut her off. Don't say it. I don't want to hear it. Liu Huyen lowered her eyes, considering it a joy to have lost and regained. I was still right in front of her, there was still a long road ahead. Eventually, he would understand my heart. I was about to leave. Liu Huyen grabbed my hand. For the next few days at the munitions factory, don't wander off. She remembered that after today, there would be a problem with the Type 147 weapon, causing her to lose 4 comrades on a mission. She would not let that happen again. Liu Huyen arranged for 2 guards to follow me closely. Looking at the 2 guards, anger and bitterness welled up in my heart. In the end, Liu Huyen still didn't trust me. The Type 147 rifles were still produced and handed over to Liu Huyen. She proposed a test firing. I was annoyed. She clearly didn't trust me. You test it yourself. Liu Huyen knew there was a problem with the guns and couldn't let others take the risk. Although she had taken precautions against someone tampering with the Type 147 batch, she hadn't found anything yet. Liu Huyen assembled a rifle and looked at my displeased face. She knew what I was thinking, but even if there was only a 1 in 10,000 chance of a problem, she couldn't let her soldiers take the risk. As Liu Huyen aimed at the target, I watched coldly. If there's no problem with the 147, you have to apologize to me. Deal, she promised in a low voice. Just as she was about to pull the trigger, a familiar, panicked voice stopped her. Don't. Liu Huyen and I turned to see Kwai Badat running towards us in a panic. Both our faces fell, but for different reasons. How did you get in? Why are you here? Kwai Badat stammered. A breathless female comrade chased after him. I brought him in. Badat said he wanted to see where I work, so I brought him. I recognized the female comrade as an engineer from the factory. The way she looked at Kwai Badat with adoration made everything clear. The factory wasn't open to just anyone, but if someone vouched for you and you passed a strict inspection, it was possible. I said coldly, this place is dangerous. Take him somewhere else. But Kwai Badat looked at Liu Huyen. Yen, are you really going to test it yourself? You could have one of your soldiers do it. You don't have to do everything yourself. He had tampered with the 147, wanting me to take the blame but not wanting Liu Huyen to get hurt. Liu Huyen said coldly, if I knew there was a problem, and still let someone else test it, wouldn't that be disregarding their life? Kwai Badat's heart skipped a beat. He felt her words had a hidden meaning. But I thought she was targeting me. Liu Huyen, that's enough. This weapon can't have a problem. Let me do it. I was fed up with her distrust. I picked up another rifle. Liu Huyen snatched it back and aimed at the target. Kwai Badat's worry was obvious. Yen, don't. Liu Huyen lowered her eyes to look at him. Why not? Kwai Badat clenched his fists. I'm just worried something will happen to you. I watched the two of them exchange affections in front of me, feeling nauseated. Liu Huyen didn't hesitate and pulled the trigger. Bang bang. The first shot was fine. The second shot. At the sound, I suddenly frowned. By the third shot, I tried to stop her, yelling wait, but it was too late. Liu Huyen had already fired. Her hand went numb, and the 147 fell to the ground. Seeing this, my cold face showed a flicker of concern. I was about to step forward, but another figure was faster. Yen, are you okay? Kwai Badat grabbed Liu Huyen's right hand. I watched their hands intertwined, my eyes darkening. I bent down and picked up the 147. I disassembled it for inspection and found a part was missing. How could this be? I was just glad Liu Huyen had proposed the test. If this had gone to the battlefield, there's no telling how many people would have been killed. Feeling someone beside me, I turned to see Liu Huyen staring at me, her eyes deep and profound. My face paled, and I pursed my lips. Liu Huyen, it wasn't me. Her voice was low. I believe you. I never expected her to say that. I was stunned. As the two of us stared at each other, Kwai Badat was displeased. Seeing a few people approaching, he intentionally raised his voice. Brother Deep, there's such a problem with the weapon you designed. Shouldn't you take responsibility? He stood up and looked at Kwai Badat. If it's my responsibility, I will bear it to the end. You don't need to remind me. Liu Huyen turned back, her deep eyes fixed on Kwai Badat. It wasn't him, but I will investigate this to the end. If I find out who tampered with it, I will show no mercy. Her words were full of authority, as if she already knew the culprit. Kwai Badat's heart sank, but he reassured himself it was impossible. He had been discreet. No one could suspect him. He forced a pale smile. Yin Yen, you can't blindly trust him just because of your relationship with Brother Daya. At the same time, a sour feeling, like being bitten by ants, rose in his heart. Yin Yen is protecting him, probably because of their current relationship. She doesn't want her career to be affected. Kwai Badat comforted himself. The chief had arrived and heard Kwai Badat's words. What's wrong with the weapon designed by Comrade Deep Fam? I reported, the problem is a missing component, due to my oversight. While I was blaming myself, Liu Huyen interjected, Chief, this is just the testing phase. It hasn't caused any serious consequences yet. I've looked at Engineer Deep Fam's designs, and the 147 is missing a component compared to the original design. It must have been tampered with during production. There might be a problem internally. The chief's face turned serious. You, come with me. I stared blankly at her retreating figure. She was protecting me. And when did she see the designs for the 147? Was it because she didn't trust my weapon, so she looked at them when I submitted them? Liu Huyen was familiar with weapons and understood designs. If so, it would make sense. Following the chief, Liu Huyen was unaware that her actions had once again been misunderstood by her husband. With the problem in the 147, Liu Huyen investigated to find out which stage went wrong. I personally supervised the factory to install the missing components. Unexpectedly, while getting the parts, a worker said, That's strange, I remember installing it. I asked what happened that day. Did you leave your post? The worker recalled and confirmed he did. A man came that day, supposedly Mayor Lam's son. Only Kwai Badat matched the description. But why would Kwai Badat tamper with it? I told Liu Huyen. I thought I would at least hear news of Kwai Badat being interrogated. But there was no movement. Even the female engineer who brought Kwai Badat into the factory was arrested for having incorrect ideology. But Kwai Badat. Liu Huyen didn't even seem to be investigating him. They found it ironic. Liu Huyen was busy for a few days. When she came home, she was surprised to find me there. She took off her hat, hung it on the rack, and her eyes relaxed as she approached. Why are you home today? I sat with my arms crossed, staring at her. Is the investigation over? Is it related to Kwai Badat? Liu Huyen was taken aback, then nodded. Yes. She was about to sit next to me, but I blocked her with my arm. Why wasn't he arrested? He will be punished. I looked at her, so serious, but why couldn't I believe her? Should I believe her? This time, Liu Huyen protected me, but I wasn't sure if it was genuine or a bait to keep me, to use my feelings. I didn't want to live in doubt. Liu Huyen, let's get a divorce. My calm words were like a clap of thunder. Deep Fam wanted a divorce. Not in this life, not in the next. Thinking that the next life might bring a different encounter, she quickly corrected herself, not in the next life either. I raised my head, about to speak, but Liu Huyen had already left. Watching her retreating footsteps, as if she were fleeing, I felt a sense of confusion, but divorce was a long-standing decision, and I wouldn't back down. After that, Liu Huyen went on a mission. I, feeling helpless, threw myself into my work at the factory. I only returned home on the day I knew she would be back. I didn't have to wait long. She pushed the door open, and upon seeing me, she froze at the entrance. Why are you home? Am I not allowed to come home? I retorted. At the same time, I noticed that after half a month on her mission, Liu Huyen had lost weight, and her uniform was covered in dust. I was surprised at myself for noticing so much. I was waiting for you. Liu Huyen remembered the divorce talk and stepped back outside. I just remembered I have something to do at the barracks. I'll go first. Without waiting for me to speak, she turned and left quickly. I watched her figure disappear around the corner, feeling a little helpless. Since Liu Huyen said she was busy at the barracks, I started looking for her there, but I was stopped at the gate every time. After several days of this, I left the barracks frustrated and headed back to the military family compound. I saw several military wives sitting on bamboo chairs under a large tree at the entrance, chatting while preparing vegetables. Have you heard? Mayor Lam's son committed a crime, and Mayor Lam was dismissed. They went back to their hometown today. What major crime did he commit for the mayor to be dismissed? Badat seems so polite, a city boy. Forget about your niece. Everyone in the compound knows that Badat likes Commander Liu. Commander Liu got married not long ago, but we've never seen her husband. I heard he works at the munitions factory. The munitions factory is full of important people. They have whole squads of soldiers escorting them in and out. Kwai Badat's parents were dismissed, and took him back to their hometown. I was stunned, only hearing that last sentence clearly. but I guessed it was probably because of that incident. I hurried to find Liu Yen to ask for clarification, turning to head back to the barracks. At that moment, training had just finished at the barracks. Liu Yen had just showered, her hair was still wet, her eyes gentle. She wore a tank top, revealing her fair skin and slender, muscular arms. She was drying her hair with a towel when Lam Duda came by her dormitory, looking at her strangely. "Commander Liu, why aren't you going home?" Liu Yen lowered her head, the towel covering her face, her voice muffled. "I can't go back." Lam Duda was curious. "What's going on that you have a home but can't return to it?" Liu Yen looked up, her deep eyes meeting his. "He wants a divorce." Hearing this, Lam Duda burst out laughing. "Haha, so you have a day like this too. You're afraid your husband will demand a divorce, so you're hiding, leaving him with a home he can't return to." Hearing his gleeful laughter, Liu Yen's eyes darkened. Lam Duda immediately stopped. "Hiding isn't a solution. If you don't nurture the relationship, you'll get divorced sooner or later. Then what should I do?" Liu Yen asked like a student. Just as Lam Duta was about to share his experience, a communications soldier ran up. "Commander Liu, Engineer Deep is here." Liu Yen stiffened, feeling nervous. "Your husband is here." Lam Duta saw she was about to avoid him and advised, "Go see him. You're the renowned commander of the 74. Don't be a coward." Being a coward meant losing. Liu Yen fell silent, her eyes deeper than usual. She threw on an outer jacket and went out. She had prepared herself to meet me, at worst just making it clear she would not divorce. But when she reached the communications room, she saw Kwai Badat, his eyes red, looking at her. Yen, I'm leaving soon. I came to say goodbye." Liu Yen frowned and looked around. Kwai Badat understood. "Don't look. Deep Fam isn't here. I used his name to get you to come out." Yen, how can you be so cruel?" I had just arrived and heard that sentence. Stunned, I stood behind the door, not entering. Inside the room, Liu Yen looked at Kwai Badat's questioning face, her expression unchanged. "Infatuation will only bring self-harm. Tampering with weapons is an act of treason. Fortunately, it didn't cause major consequences. Your father used all his merits to bail you out, which is why you're still alive. I hope you will mend your ways." Kwai Badat was heartbroken. Yen, how did you know I tampered with the 147? I had people following you early on." Hearing he had been under suspicion all along, Kwai Badat flew into a rage and grabbed her hand. Yen, I did it because I love you. You like me, don't you? It's just because of Deep Fam's status. You need to protect him, so you married him, right? Outside the door, I heard vaguely, my heart tightening. I had misunderstood Liu Yen. She had truly reported Kwai Badat without favoritism. The day of the 147 test was also because she suspected Kwai Badat was up to something, and she also suspected me. Why didn't she say so? But hearing Kwai Badat's next words, my heart turned cold again. So Kwai Badat also knew the reason she married me. A second later, Liu Yen's cold voice rang out. "I've always treated you like a real brother." Kwai Badat was unwilling to accept it. "I don't believe you don't like me. Could it be that you like Deep Fam?" "Yes." Liu Yen's firm words hit my ears like a hammer to the head. I stood there, stunned, not knowing what to do. The sound of footsteps came from inside the room. My heart leaped, and I unconsciously ran away. On the road, my heart pounded. I clutched my chest in a daze. Were Liu Yen's words true? At 6 o'clock in the evening, Liu Yen returned to the family compound and smelled food cooking. She hesitated before taking off her hat, hanging it up, and entering the house. Hearing noises from the kitchen, she went to see. The long-used kitchen was now active. I was wearing an apron, stir-frying vegetables. Liu Yen's usually calm voice trembled slightly. "You know how to cook." In her past life, their marriage was short, and she had never eaten a meal I cooked. Moreover, after I had demanded a divorce, I was now home cooking. I turned my head, my expression calm. "I wasn't sure when you'd be back. Wait a bit, I'll be done stir-frying, and we can eat." When the table was set, 3 dishes and a soup looked sumptuous. I then took out a bottle of wine and poured 2 glasses. I picked up my glass, drank it all, and said seriously, "I'm sorry. I apologize for misunderstanding you about covering for Kwai Badat." Seeing my serious demeanor, Liu Yen was a bit taken aback. I didn't want her to know I had eavesdropped on her conversation with Kwai Badat. Wiping my mouth, I continued, "I heard from the military wives in the compound that Mayor Lam was dismissed because of what Kwai Badat did, and they've gone back to their hometown. So I guessed you reported everything to the chief." I was being narrow-minded. Now I sincerely apologize. I take back what I said before. Liu Yen felt a little guilty about her past life. So, no more divorce. That, I can't agree to. Liu Yen's heart sank. She was about to say something when she suddenly saw 2 military wives peeking in through the door. She went to the door. "Is something wrong?" The two wives were not embarrassed. Commander Liu, are you cooking at home today? Your husband bought half a gin of meat from my house and some vegetables and peppers from another. So it was to cook for you, that's how it should be. Why else would he marry you if not to cook for you? Letting you eat at the canteen all the time. I heard them and walked over to stand beside Liu Huyen. Ladies, you don't need to worry about our family matters. If he wants to cook, he cooks. If he doesn't, he doesn't. The faces of the two wives changed. Liu Huyen said politely, don't worry, sisters. From now on, he will cook for me. The latter half was directed at me. I looked up and met her deep gaze. Through her dark pupils, I saw that her eyes only held me. My heart trembled, and a heat rose to my neck. I bit my lip and returned to the table. The two gossipy wives didn't expect our relationship to be so good. They felt a bit awkward. Hearing Liu Huyen say that he would be cooking at home from now on, their hearts soured. They were both soldiers, so why did their husbands only eat and never step into the kitchen? They then shuffled away. Liu Huyen returned to the table. The room became quiet again. She saw me pick up my bowl and start eating, so she also took a bite. She was immediately amazed. It's delicious. Hearing her praise, my cold face showed a slight flicker of emotion. Liu Huyen asked, I didn't know you could cook. My voice was flat. You, like them, thought I was spoiled. Ever since my parents passed away, I've lived alone. If I didn't cook, how would I have survived? Though my tone was flat, Liu Huyen imagined the lonely years I had endured, and her heart itched. She placed her hand over mine on the table, her long eyelashes hiding her emotions. Deep femme, you've suffered. From now on, I won't let you be lonely anymore. I didn't pull my hand away. Liu Huyen's bright black eyes stared at me. Don't divorce me. What I said earlier was from the heart. I like you. My mind was in turmoil, but my face showed nothing. I only pulled my hand away, slightly flustered. Don't say any more. My words revealed my panic. Liu Huyen even made me feel disappointed, her gaze deep and profound. I will use my actions to prove it to you. The next morning when I woke up, the early morning sun streamed in. The grass and leaves were dotted with dew, and a gentle breeze carried a cool air. When I got up, the house was unusually quiet. I glanced at Liu Huyen's tightly closed door, a hint of disappointment showing that even I didn't realize. But a second later, there was a sound at the main door. I looked out to see Liu Huyen carrying a piece of meat inside. I was a bit surprised. He went to buy meat so early. It was only 700 m. I knew he had to line up early to buy meat, and even then, you might not get any. For Liu Huyen to have already bought it and come back, she must have gone very early. Liu Huyen held up the piece of meat and smiled brightly. Yes, didn't I promise to cook for you from now on? I bought meat this morning to make steamed buns for you. This piece is enough for 2 days. Without waiting for my reaction, she carried it into the kitchen. With someone cooking, I certainly wouldn't refuse. I took my coffee beans out to the yard, intending to grind them in the cool outdoor air, but I couldn't find a place to put the grinder. The yard was still barren, clearly neither of us had taken care of it. Reluctantly, I brought out a high stool and a low stool to grind the beans. I had brought these coffee beans back from my studies abroad and had never had them. Today, I suddenly wanted to drink some. As I brewed the coffee, I saw Liu Huyen making breakfast in the kitchen and made a cup for her too. I just thought she was working hard to make a meal, and I should repay her. 40 minutes later, Liu Huyen brought out soy milk and steamed buns. She saw me sitting on the porch leisurely drinking coffee, and a hint of warmth filled her eyes. Maybe I should clean up the yard. Come and eat. I handed the coffee to Liu Huyen. It was her first time drinking it, but because I gave it to her, she drank it without hesitation. She frowned. Why is it so bitter? Coffee is supposed to be bitter, I said nonchalantly, taking a sip. Liu Huyen saw my unchanged expression and didn't understand. She pushed a glass of soy milk towards me. Drink the soy milk. I didn't even look at it. You drink it. Liu Huyen didn't force me and drank the entire cup of coffee without moving. I noticed and intentionally said, Commander Liu, you can't be wasteful. Coffee is very precious. Liu Huyen's frown deepened. She pinched her nose as if going to the execution ground. After finishing it, her mouth was filled with a bitter taste. She stuffed a steamed bun in her mouth and turned to see a hint of a smile in my eyes. Suddenly, she felt it was all worth it. Lam Dutu and Liu Huyen arrived at the barracks together. Seeing her happy expression, he asked, what's the happy occasion? Liu Huyen told him about her morning with me. Great, Lam Dutu clapped and then gave her an idea. Listen, everyone likes romance, especially your husband who studied abroad, and is very westernized. You should go pick him up from work today. Liu Huyen was worried. If I go pick him up, will he hate it? Silly, when you go, don't forget to bring a bouquet of flowers. At 6 o'clock in the afternoon, Liu Huyen picked a bouquet of wild flowers by the roadside and went to the munitions factory gate. Occasionally, people passing by would look at her curiously, and some even stopped. Liu Huyen, who could hold a gun on the battlefield without her hands shaking, now held the flowers with slightly trembling hands, her breathing heavy. Finally, I slowly walked out of the iron gate. Liu Huyen took a deep breath, walked up to me, and said, "For you." I was stunned. I subconsciously took the flowers, and felt the envious gazes of my colleagues. I quickly pulled her into the car. In the passenger seat, looking at the bouquet, although it wasn't as beautiful as a professionally wrapped one, my heart felt a strange joy. Normally, when Liu Huyen picked me up, I suspected she was monitoring me, but looking at the bouquet, had she changed her strategy? Liu Huyen saw my expression, and let out a sigh of relief. "You don't like it?" I didn't say I liked it, but Liu Huyen was already satisfied. From that day on, every time she picked me up, she brought flowers. She also cleared the barren yard, laid pebbles brought back from the sea from the door to the yard, and built a wooden pavilion under the shade of a tree. She bought grape seeds and scattered them. Next year, the vines would cover the pavilion. On the other side, she fenced off a plot of land to grow vegetables. But unfortunately, before I could see the new yard, I was secluded for secret weapon research. In December, the research was completed. The first person I went to see was the chief. "Chief, I volunteered to escort the weapons to the front lines." But the chief refused. "Comrade Deep Fem, you are a research talent. You are more useful in the rear, serving the country better." I insisted, "Chief, I also want to follow in my parents' footsteps and contribute to the country. Besides, I am the most suitable person, am I not?" The chief shook his head. "Why are you and your wife so stubborn?" "Chief, what do you mean?" "A few days ago, Comrade Liu Huyen applied to lead a platoon to escort the weapons to the front lines. Her condition was that your safety must be guaranteed. Your wife's dedication to the country is already known. You are just a researcher, not a soldier. Go back." My head was spinning, my mind in chaos until I went downstairs and ran into Liu Huyen. Liu Huyen smoothed her pants. "Deep Fem, why are you here?" I walked past her coldly. "Let's go home." Liu Huyen followed. It was winter, and the sky darkened early. Every house was lit up. The cold winter was approaching the new year, but because of the war, the festive atmosphere was sparse. When I got home, I saw the yard was completely different. Liu Huyen introduced, "I made this. It's a pity that the winter snow has covered it. Next year, you can sit in the cool pavilion and drink coffee. The vegetables I planted were meant for you to taste first. I didn't expect you to go into seclusion for research." I saw the disappointment in her eyes and heard her talk about these trivial matters. A strange emotion welled up in my heart, and my eyes unconsciously turned red. Liu Huyen thought I was cold. "Let's go inside, don't catch a cold." Inside the room, she started a fire to boil water. I suddenly pulled on her sleeve. "You." Liu Huyen turned and looked down. "I have to go to the front lines. I leave tomorrow." At this moment, a feeling of reluctance rose in me. Although I was angry before, seeing her actions these past few days had softened my heart. I wanted something simple, just her heart. We hadn't made things clear, and she was already going to a life and death front line. What if something happened? Thinking of this, my emotions surged uncontrollably. I wrapped my arms around her neck and kissed her lips. Liu Huyen was stunned. Her voice was deep. "Deep Fam." Before she could finish, I silenced her. An ambiguous atmosphere spread. I deliberately threatened her fiercely, "Don't talk. If you back out now, don't even think about touching me later." I was held tightly by her, my lips captured as she took the upper hand, her kiss like a storm. In the kitchen, things fell with a crash. Liu Huyen sat on the stove, her legs spread wide, forcing me to squeeze in between. Her legs wrapped around my waist, our lower bodies pressed together through layers of fabric. Her kisses were urgent, biting my lips without any rules, a little painful. Her soft hands slipped into my clothes, touching my smooth skin, her breathing ragged. Liu Huyen's hands, calloused from holding weapons year-round, caused a shiver wherever they touched. The room heated up. He unconsciously moaned, making her breath hitch and her plunder become more urgent. Just as the atmosphere was reaching its peak, a sudden gurgling sound was heard. Liu Huyen seemed to wake from a dream and pulled back, creating distance. I pressed her down, my cold eyes tinged with red. "You're backing out." Liu Huyen looked conflicted, her eyes gradually clearing. Her voice was hoarse. "I can't. I'm leaving tomorrow. The battlefield is dangerous. If I die, it would be irresponsible to you." My face darkened. Liu Huyen felt even more guilty. "I'm sorry. I clearly promised not to let you be lonely." I pushed her away, turned, and left. Seeing me leave, Liu Huyen panicked and quickly pulled me back. "Don't be angry with me. Can you stay with me tonight?" My face was cold. "You're leaving me alone. Then you'll leave me here for 3 years. If I have feelings for you, have you thought about how much pain I'll be in?" Liu Huyen slowly let go of my hand. Seeing her really let go, I was truly angry. You really have no heart. Liu Huyen's eyes were filled with disappointment. She knew she had messed up again this time. If I gave up on her, and if she died on the battlefield, I could remarry. But knowing my personality, I would probably pour all my energy into research. That would be good too. I was really angry. Wiping away a tear, I gritted my teeth. Liu Huyen, listen carefully. Seeing as you're about to go to the battlefield, I'll forgive you. You have to come back alive. A sudden joy. Liu Huyen couldn't believe it. It took her a long time to react, filled with the joy of having lost and regained. Yes. I took the opportunity to hug her, rubbing my head against her. Liu Huyen also cherished the embrace. That night, we lay on the same bed without doing anything, talking about many things. I even offered to send her a bulletproof vest, but she refused. Everyone is going to battle. Why should I be special? We talked until midnight, reluctant to sleep. Finally, Liu Huyen coaxed me to sleep. I fell asleep late, feeling a warmth on my forehead, so happy that I had a sweet dream. The next morning, I woke up to an empty space beside me. My hand touched the cold sheets. I jolted awake, looking at the empty bed, clear disappointment in my eyes. At the same time, my heart was filled with worry. The front lines were dangerous. I hoped she would come back alive. The war lasted for 3 years, but then I remembered that in my past life, Liu Huyen didn't go to the front lines. Why did she go in this life? 3 years later, I returned from the munitions factory to the family compound. The golden sunset filled the sky. I looked into the distance. 3 years seemed difficult, but they passed in a flash. As the chief had said, I was more useful in the rear. In 3 years, I developed new weapons targeting the war situation, creating weapons with great destructive power. I also went into business to earn money, buying medicine to send to the front lines, hoping to increase the soldiers' chances of survival. Back home in the yard, a woman in a floral shirt, her hair tied in a simple ponytail, was busy in the vegetable garden. The woman looked up. "Heat fam, you're back." "Sister Lamb," I greeted, then went straight to the pavilion, which was covered in lush grapevines. I looked at the pavilion, just as Liu Huyen had said, a place to sit in the cool and drink coffee. I retracted my hand and poured a glass of water for Sister Lamb. "Thank you, Sister Lamb. This is Liu Huyen's. Without you, they would all be dead." Sister Lamb was Lam Duta's wife, a few years older than me, and already a mother. "Don't say that. You also give my family vegetables from your garden, like your own." Sister Lamb drank the water in one go, wiped her face heartily. "But I won't be taking care of it for much longer. I heard from my husband that we've won the war. Your wife is coming back soon." I was stunned. Liu Huyen was coming back. Thinking about the time, it should be soon. Seeing me like this, Sister Lamb was happy. "After waiting for 3 years, your wife is finally coming back." I was dazed. Then, what should I prepare? Sister Lamb said, "You should take Tiu Jun to town to buy some things." Tiu Jun's full name was Jun Kai. He had only joined the army in the last 2 years, was over 20, energetic, and good at making money. I had partnered with him. The next morning, I took Tiu Jun to town. I drove the Jifeng truck that Liu Huyen had left at home. In this era, few people could drive, drivers were precious. I had learned abroad. On the way, Tiu Jun asked, "Deep calm, you and Commander Liu haven't seen each other for 3 years. Aren't you afraid?" My grip on the steering wheel tightened slightly. Tiu Jun clenched his fists. "Don't worry, Deep calm, you're such a good person. You've been thinking about her for 3 years, sending supplies to the front lines. Now that she's back, you're even taking me to buy things to welcome her. If the commander comes back and doesn't treat you well, I'll help you teach her a lesson. Now, let's see what to buy." You've already made a list. After 3 years, all the old things are gone. We need to buy new ones. Returning with a full truck, on the day the heroes returned home, the central road was packed with people. Tiu Jun had dragged me there early to get a good spot. The first to enter the city were weary soldiers carrying caskets covered with the national flag. Some relatives couldn't hold back their tears. My heart skipped a beat. Watching people receive the caskets, families reuniting with soldiers, only I couldn't find Liu Huyen. My breathing became ragged. The worst thought was that there were no remains left. At that thought, I almost couldn't bear it, my eyes red as I pushed forward. "Where is Liu Huyen? Where is the commander of the 74th, Liu Huyen?" No one answered. People's gazes swept over me, some blank, some sympathetic. Just as I was about to collapse, someone said, "Commander Liu was injured, and has been taken to the military district hospital." It felt like I had been brought back to life and rushed to the hospital. Tiu Jun chased after me. "Keep calm, I'll go back first. A couple reuniting, I won't disturb you." After saying that, he left. I couldn't hold back my tears. In this life, I had shed all my tears. Arriving at the military district hospital and asking for Liu Huyen's room, I ran there. I was only thinking of her and didn't notice the strange, curious looks the nurses gave me. I didn't expect to enter the room and see Liu Huyen lying motionless on the hospital bed. Seeing her lying there, all the strength seemed to drain from my body. My heart itched as if it had been stabbed, half relieved, half heartbroken. How did you get injured? Liu Huyen, you promised to come back safely. Why are you in the hospital? As I spoke, I approached the bed. Before I could get close, a man's voice sounded. Who are you? I looked up to see a man with short hair holding a basin standing by the bed. I sized him up, tall, in uniform, with an oval face, single eyelids, and thin lips. He was quite handsome, but his sharp eyes looked a bit harsh. Now, he looked at me like a homeowner declaring sovereignty. From his attire, he was clearly not a doctor or a nurse. I said, I am the husband of Liu Huyen, the one with the marriage certificate. The man's face paled for a moment, his hand holding the basin tightening, but he quickly returned to normal. I am Tran Vian, a reporter. I was interviewing soldiers outside the city at a ruined temple. Commander Liu saved me, so I volunteered to take care of her. He turned and put down the basin. I couldn't see his expression, but when I saw Tran Vian, in front of me, take a towel and wipe Liu Huyen's face, I was extremely displeased. Seeing this, what was there not to understand? I had always been direct. You like her. Tran Vian's hand, holding the towel, froze. He turned back. Don't misunderstand. I'm taking care of Commander Liu only because she saved me, and I feel guilty. I have no other feelings for Commander Liu. I was blunt. Then you should pay attention to boundaries. You are an unmarried man, and she is a married woman. It's easy to cause misunderstandings. There are many ways to repay a debt of gratitude. You don't need to choose one that is so easily misunderstood. Tran Vian's eyes were icy. Don't insult me. Your wife is not some treasure that everyone covets. I didn't argue whether his words were true or not. That's for the best, I said calmly. Tran Vian was speechless, threw the towel down, and left. His departure didn't affect me. I turned to look at Liu Huyen on the bed, stroking the wound on her head. Getting injured for another man. When you wake up, I'll have to teach you a lesson. I let out a soft laugh. Liu Huyen, you've worked hard. Thank you for coming back. This was from the heart. It was a pity she couldn't hear it. My heart was filled with disappointment, but suddenly her eyelids fluttered. She was about to wake up. I quickly called the doctor. After the doctor's examination, he said, she's about to wake up. I felt relieved and held Liu Huyen's hand, waiting. I had 3 years of words I wanted to say, but before she woke up, the factory suddenly called. Deep come, the director is looking for you. I didn't know what it was, but the factory wanted me. A new batch of components from overseas was probably related. I had no choice but to return to the factory. Not long after I left, Liu Ruyan woke up. She seemed to have heard my voice, but looking around, she couldn't see me and was a little disappointed. She only asked the doctor when I would be discharged. The doctor checked and confirmed that she was fine, but she had to stay in the hospital for a week for observation. If there were no issues, she could be discharged. Liu Ruyan maintained a straight face, remembering the warm moment before I left, her heart feeling a gnawing itch. For 3 years, she had longed to see me. Every day on the battlefield, she thought of meeting me. Even when severely injured, she endured it, all for the words, wait for me to come back. Now that she was back and had finally met me, she was held up by a small hospital. She had endured 3 years, so how could she not bear this 1 week? Meanwhile, I went to the director's office. He had called me for a matter. The director got straight to the point. We are purchasing a batch of components from Mr. Smith, but they are arrogant and look down on our engineers. I've decided to send you to put down their pride and buy the components at the lowest possible price. When the image of Li Ruyan flashed in my mind, and with a sigh, I ultimately chose my work. Before leaving, I only entrusted Xiao Jian with taking care of Li Ruyan. Day after day, Li Ruyan stared at the door, hoping I would visit. It was impossible for me not to know about her injury. But instead of me, it was Chen Yuan who came. Every day, Chen Yuan brought chicken soup to care for her. She refused. Chen Yuan felt guilty. You were injured because of me. I won't feel at ease until you've recovered. Li Ruyan's face was stern. As a soldier, it is my duty to serve the people. It was right for me to save you. I understand your sentiment. You don't need to come every day. Chen Yuan clenched his fists and bit his lip. Actually, I'm taking care of you on behalf of your husband. You've been in the hospital for many days, and he hasn't come to see you. Your wound needs care. Li Ruyan's face darkened, a flash of disappointment she tried to hide. Chen Yuan caught her sadness and stepped forward to support her. I don't care about the rumors. The innocent are innocent. Let me take care of you on your husband's behalf until he returns. Who are you to him? Does Ye Fan know you? You're taking his place to care for Regiment Commander Liu. Before Chen Yuan could finish, Xiao Jian's voice rang out. The two looked over and saw two strangers, Xiao Jian and Sister Lin. Sister Lin was the wife of Lin Dude. Liu Ruian knew it was fine to be cared for by the wife of a comrade in arms, but she and Xiao Jian were separated by a certain social distance. I had entrusted Xiao Jian to bring Sister Lin along, not expecting to walk in on this scene. Chen Yuan looked at the two, his eyes cold. Who are you? Xiao Jian crossed his arms, approaching Chen Yuan with a disdainful look. Who we are is none of your business. We just saw an injustice and decided to step in. We despise green tea men like you. Scram if you know what's good for you, or I'll drag you to the ideology department. It was a man's war. Liu Ruian didn't interfere, just watched the three of them in a tense standoff. Chen Yuan looked at Xiao Jian, his narrow eyes twitching. I've said it, I'm repaying Regiment Commander Liu for saving my life. I know her relationship with her husband isn't good, otherwise why wouldn't he come? Xiao Jian saw through his arrogant expression. Aren't your words just implying that Ye Fan is heartless, not visiting his wife after she was injured? Chen Yuan, having been seen through, pursed his lips unwillingly. But you can leave now, Xiao Jian continued. Ye Fan entrusted us to take care of his wife. Even though they were apart for 3 years, Ye Fan always remembered Regiment Commander Liu. For 3 years, he sent medical supplies to the front lines, and knowing the soldiers were returning early, he pulled me along to buy things to welcome his wife home. Whether their relationship is good or bad doesn't need to be proven to you. Xiao Jian emphasized his words, which were actually meant for Liu Ruian to hear, fearing she might believe Chen Yuan and think I didn't care, leading to resentment. Chen Yuan squinted, annoyed, but Liu Ruian's eyes lit up upon hearing this. She didn't care if she knew the person in front of her, she only knew he was my friend. Comrade, is what you're saying true? For 3 years, Ye Fan always remembered. Prepared to welcome me home. Xiao Jian looked at the woman on the bed, his eyes flashing. Beautiful indeed. Not good, he shouldn't stare. He averted his gaze and nodded. Of course, it's true. Could it be fate? Liu Ruian frowned. Then where is Ye Fan? He was sent on a business trip by the factory. Seeing Liu Ruian's longing for me, Xiao Jian felt she was worthy of it. Meanwhile, Chen Yuan, who had been sulking, became angry when he saw Liu Ruian chatting with others and ignoring him. He picked up his lunch box and left. Liu Ruian paid him no mind, and Xiao Jian raised an eyebrow with a smile. Sister Lin also brought a lunch box forward. Regiment Commander Liu, we also came to visit you at Ye Fan's request. We heard you have a head injury and made pig brain soup to help. Please have some. Thank you, Sister Lin. Liu Ruian was grateful. For the past 3 years, thank you all for taking care of Ye Fan. The day after tomorrow, when I'm discharged, Ye Fan and I will visit you. Knowing I always thought of her, Liu Ruian's heart was filled with joy, only hoping to see me. From that day on, the discouraged Chen Yuan no longer came. By now, it was my second day in chaining. The negotiations with Comrade Li and Mr. Smith were set. I, as an expert and assistant, waited in the private room for a long time, but Mr. Smith didn't appear. Someone anxiously told Comrade Li, Mr. Smith hasn't arrived, he must have backed out. Comrade Li, elegant in his Zhongshan suit, said, we just won a battle. Perhaps he wants to show off his importance and not let us get too complacent. Let's wait a bit more. He then turned to me. Engineer Ye, you don't mind, do you? I shook my head. I don't mind, but it seems this transaction won't be smooth. We just fought a battle and urgently need to replenish our materials. Mr. Smith has what we need. This deal cannot fail. Just as I finished speaking, the door was pushed open. A middle-aged foreign man with a beer belly and curly blonde hair entered, looking arrogant. Behind him, several tall bodyguards surrounded us, and everyone's expression changed. Mr. Smith, we are here to trade in good faith. What are you doing? I looked at the dark muzzles of the guns, my heart skipping a beat, but my face remained calm. At this moment, I represented the nation and could not do anything to harm our country's dignity. I looked at Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, if word gets out that this is how you do business, I'm afraid no one will do business with you in the future. Mr. Smith gave a fake smile and waved for his subordinates to step back. They leaned against the wall, guarding, and the door was also blocked. Indeed, the relationship between our two countries is tense. This is just a necessary precaution. I hope you don't mind, but I have my principles in business. My materials must be sold to a country with potential. Comrade Li remained calm. We have come to negotiate with a price of 90 per caddy. Mr. Smith, we are very sincere. I don't care about the price. I only care about how much value you can get out of the materials. It wouldn't be good if I sold them to you only for them to be stolen. An assistant became angry. He was clearly cursing us to fail. Mr. Smith smiled smugly, waving his hand. Someone brought a case up. I have a weapon developed by our engineers for your expert to compare with ours. If you can assemble it, I will do business with you. Where is your expert? Mr. Smith looked around, not at me. Even Comrade Li hesitated. Let me. I exchanged a look with Comrade Li, nodded, and stood up to face Mr. Smith. I wouldn't dare to give pointers, but I can offer some guidance. After all, some countries with abundant weapons still lose to those with less. A little pretty boy. Mr. Smith sneered. He doesn't take me seriously. I saw his attitude and didn't get angry. Mr. Smith must not have read our country's classics. Hua Milan joined the army. The Russian Empress Catherine even said that if she lived 200 years, Europe would kneel at her feet. The soldiers who pushed back your compatriots were not lacking in women, so don't look down on a pretty boy like me. Women can be very formidable. You will suffer if you underestimate yes. Mr. Smith's face turned ugly. Fine. Assemble the weapon blindfolded, and I will do business with you. Comrade Lay hesitated, trying to pull me back, but he couldn't. Full of confidence, I agree. Alright, but I have two conditions. If I succeed, you will give us the materials for free and apologize to the people you look down on. Mr. Smith gritted his teeth and agreed, because he thought this expert could not complete an impossible task. What would this useless-looking man know? I was blindfolded, and began before I had even seen the weapon. Everyone thought I couldn't do it, but a genius is a genius for doing what others cannot. Blindfolded, I only needed to feel the components once to recognize their approximate length, material, and asymmetrical double-locking protrusions. There was a hook inside, and the protrusion on the gun led to a curved groove in the frame. When locked, the left arm of the locking protrusion and the inclined surface on the left of the frame interacted, rotating 5 degrees to disengage the rear guide surface, then rotating another 33 degrees under the guidance of the locking groove. After I finished the assembly, Mr. Smith kept his promise and left. I took off the blindfold, my vision returning, but I was suddenly stunned. The people in the room had changed. Mr. Smith's men had been replaced by Liu Ruian's people. I never expected to meet her in this situation, and a wave of emotion washed over me. Regardless of whether she came for me, the moment I saw her, all the past waiting felt worthwhile. The two of us looked at each other, our dark eyes filled with 1,000 words, but the setting was inappropriate. After a long moment, our eyes met only for a fleeting second. We both had a tacit understanding. The nation came first. I looked at Mr. Smith and said, word by word, Mr. Smith, you underestimated our country. We who have risen from adversity will never kneel again. But we are a friendly nation and will absolutely not act like robbers. The subsequent negotiations were handed over to Comrade Lai. Comrade Lee cleared his throat. As Engineer Ye said, we are not robbers. We will trade at the lowest price to maintain a good relationship. What do you think, Mr. Smith? Mr. Smith's face was red. Of course. At that moment, Liu Ruian's low, pressing voice added, and the apology. I was taken aback. Mr. Smith turned to look at me. My sincere apologies. I was a frog in a well. He smiled faintly. I accept your apology, Mr. Smith. After that, the two sides amicably signed the agreement. I was satisfied with the result, showing magnanimity in front of foreigners so they wouldn't think we were afraid to make concessions. This would enhance our country's reputation and attract more collaborators, strengthening our international standing. Happy cooperation. Happy cooperation. Liu Ruian and I stood together, but the occasion didn't allow for conversation. After signing, we saw Mr. Smith off. I could feel her intense gaze on me. As soon as I turned my head, our eyes met. Comrade Lee excitedly grabbed my hand. Engineer Ye, you are brilliant. You made that arrogant Mr. Smith apologize to you. And how did you assemble that weapon blindfolded? Had you seen it before? I was so caught up that I didn't have a chance to speak with Liu Ruian. At this point, Comrade Lee asked her, Regiment Commander Liu, did the arsenal know about the situation and send you for support? Liu Ruian looked at me, our eyes meeting. I requested to come. After all, Engineer Ye is a vital asset to our country. Her words were profound. Others might not understand, but my own hands turned red. Liu Ruian averted her gaze and said seriously, today's work is done. The train is at 2 p.m. I'll go scout ahead, and then leave. I didn't see Liu Ruian again until I boarded the train that afternoon. I carried my suitcase while a young soldier with the ticket led me to Car 1. Car 1 had private compartments favored by the wealthy. I was surprised. Although the factory covered travel expenses, thriftiness was a virtue. I had booked a regular car on the way here. Why was it upgraded on the way back? The soldier led me to the door, and quickly left. I opened the door and was pulled into a familiar, strong embrace. Liu Ruian's deep voice, filled with restraint, echoed by my ear. Husband, I'm back. The surroundings were noisy, the train whistle blew for departure, but I felt the compartment was extremely quiet. Liu Ruian was close, her hot breath on my ear, carrying a warmth that filled the air with a lingering affection. I was held tightly, her soft body against my side, but a bitterness rose in my heart. After Liu Ruian spoke, she didn't hear my reply, and thought she had been too forward. Perhaps the intimate address and her closeness had made me uncomfortable. As if she had done something wrong, she awkwardly let go. Sorry, if you don't like it, I won't call you that again. But as she spoke, she noticed the sound of sniffing. Liu Ruian's heart trembled in panic. You're crying. Don't cry. Have you not forgiven me yet? But what she received was a slight rebuke from me. Liu Ruian, you are too much. Why are you here? Didn't someone take good care of you? Who told you to rush to the front lines? Liu Ruian endured each word of criticism, but she could hear the concern within them. She groaned softly. They stopped crying and looked nervously at her pale face. What's wrong? Liu Ruian clutched her chest and shook her head. It's nothing, just an old injury from the battlefield. It hit the bone, and still hurts a little. I'm sorry. I gently stroked her chest, my heart itching. You knew full well that you couldn't return from battle completely unscathed. Compared to the soldiers who had sacrificed their lives, Liu Ruian was already very fortunate, but I couldn't help but feel sad. Why did you go to war back then? Liu Ruian said, what other reason could there be? I am a soldier. But if I were the one going to battle, could you guarantee my survival? My hand on her chest pressed down. Liu Ruian, I just said a pretty boy like me would be at a disadvantage. Besides, how do you know I wouldn't survive? She remembered her past life, a knot in her heart. I wouldn't dare to look down on you. It's just that you can contribute more in the rear. That's right. I was placated and didn't argue. At this moment, Liu Ruian mused, you won't think about divorce anymore, will you? That depends on your performance, I ordered coolly. You are not to speak of what happened today. Liu Ruian readily promised, looking at me gently. Our eyes met as if drawn by a magnet, leaning closer until our lips and teeth met, a passionate kiss telling the story of 3 years of longing. When it was over, my lips were red and swollen, and I was embarrassed to meet people, but we had to get off when the train reached the station. Liu Ruian held my hand with one hand and carried the suitcase with the other. As we got off the train, we met a colleague from the factory. Engineer Yahe, why didn't I see you on the whole journey? Turns out you were with Regiment Commander Liu. They saw our intertwined hands, their mouths agape in shock. This is dating. So bold in broad daylight, you should let go. Do you want to be sent to the ideology department? We looked at each other and smiled. I held her hand and formally introduced, we are a legally married couple. With her official status, Liu Ruian's eyes deepened, and a faint smile appeared on her serious face. She intended to take me straight back to the military family compound, but I said, I have to go back to the factory. Liu Ruian's face was full of disappointment. Why? To file a report. You came back from the battlefield, don't you have to go back to the military district to write a report? Liu Ruian hadn't been back to the family compound yet. She had been hospitalized upon her return, and immediately came to find me after being discharged. Now she had to go to the military district to write a report. Her face showed disappointment. I'll take you to the factory and then go to the military district. At the entrance of the military family compound, the large trees were even more lush. The military wives, who had gathered on bamboo chairs for 3 years, fanned themselves and gossiped. They had heard that a male reporter had been coming to see Regiment Commander Liu recently, bringing many things. He saw him. He's a handsome man, but not as handsome as Engineer Yahe. People in the city are more open-minded now, but they still need to maintain some propriety. Engineer Yahe is so cold, he doesn't know how to take the initiative. Women like initiative. Who knows, Regiment Commander Liu might be snatched away. I walked past, and someone who saw me probably felt awkward. Engineer Yahe. I nodded in greeting and walked away without stopping. In 3 years, although I was acquainted with Sister Lin and Xiao Jian, I remained distant from the other military wives in the compound. It had nothing to do with me. How could I control them? But I didn't understand why some people didn't focus their time on what mattered. Passing by Sister Lin's house, she poked her head out from the wall. Fan, come over here. She was holding freshly picked vegetables from her garden. I was momentarily stunned and walked over. What is it, Sister Lin? Sister Lin comforted me, don't pay any mind to what they say. That day, Xiao Jian and I went to the hospital to visit your wife. It was that shameless male reporter who insisted on repaying her for saving his life. Your wife's rejections were useless. Then her expression turned serious, which I found strange. What's wrong? Sister Lin smiled. At the hospital that day, Xiao Jian told us how much you've missed your wife these 3 years. Your wife was so happy she didn't even glance at that little green tea. I adjusted my pants. What did Xiao Jian say? How did my wife react? No wonder she came to find me directly. I was embarrassed. No. Let them talk. I don't care. But what is a little green tea? I drink green tea. But what is a little green tea? Sister Lin nodded and explained seriously. Xiao Jiang said it's someone like that Chen Yuan, who pretends to be innocent in front of the person they like. It's a term from his hometown. I learned something new and was about to leave. Indeed, the world's knowledge is endless. Sister Lin glanced at my empty hands and gave me the bunch of freshly picked vegetables. Here, take these freshly picked vegetables home, otherwise what will you eat tonight? The topic changed so quickly that I was dazed as I carried the vegetables and a piece of pork ribs home. After cooking, I waited for Liu Ruian to return. The golden sunset glowed as she came back. I went out to greet her. One of us was in the courtyard, the other outside the gate, looking at each other. The shadows of the trees swayed, the grape trellis was lush, the courtyard was vibrant, and as the sunlight shifted, our two shadows stretched and merged. After dinner, we sat in the courtyard. The sky was dark, with a few stars, and a crescent moon. Liu Ruian looked up. The moon is beautiful tonight. Hearing this, I also looked up. Yes, it's beautiful. I used to bury my head in the laboratory, and never looked up at the sky. The world is so vast, and I am just a grain of sand. I feel enlightened. Liu Ruian's hand rested on the back of my chair. Before, when I was fighting, every time I looked at the moon, I would think about how many full moons it would take before I could return to your side. I lowered my gaze and turned to look at her. Now you're back. Yes, I'm back. Liu Ruian lowered her gaze to meet mine. Our eyes met, containing only each other, like magnets drawing closer. But suddenly, Liu Ruian turned her head to look at the courtyard, finally settling on the vegetable garden. This courtyard is nice. The vegetables are growing so well. I thought it would be all weeds. After speaking, she bent down to look. I maintained my posture, my face full of speechlessness, clenching my fists to hold back my embarrassment. Liu Ruian turned and asked, "You know how to farm?" I turned back to face her with a look that said, "There are still many surprises about me that you don't know." It was a little funny. I don't. I asked Sister Lin to help, but the vegetables my wife planted were all eaten by Sister Lin's family. It's okay. Liu Ruian waved her hand and came to stand in front of me. Her shadow covered half the moon, her expression unclear. I looked up and asked, "What's wrong?" Liu Ruian, Xiao Jian was telling the truth. You care about me, so you. In the courtyard, because this is our home. The word home struck a chord in my heart. Home. Since my talent was discovered, I have lived in dormitories. After marrying Liu Ruian, I thought I had a home, but she was only using my feelings. Now we have a real home. Seeing my expression darken, Liu Ruian panicked and apologized. Did I say something wrong? I shook my head, my dark eyes shimmering with tears. You didn't say anything wrong. This is my home. Hearing this, Liu Ruian's heart felt like rain after a drought. She gently raised her hand to wipe away my tears. Let's not get divorced anymore. Let's live well. I remembered the past few days, and understood that some things didn't need to be said. All personal feelings seemed insignificant in the face of national enmity and family hatred. I nodded forcefully. Okay. Having received my consent, Liu Ruian seemed to have a weight lifted off her shoulders. The two of us embraced tightly, feeling each other's warmth. The bright moonlight shone on us. After watching the moon, we went back to the living room. Looking at the two bedroom doors, you looked at me, and I looked at you, the air silent. We used to sleep separately, the night before I left was an exception. Liu Ruian, you go back to your room first and get some rest. After saying this, she was about to leave. I pulled her back, our eyes meeting, the summer air heating up. I dared not look directly into her eyes. We're sleep together. My words fell into Liu Ruian's ears. She froze. We both knew what would happen tonight. Liu Ruian stiffly turned her head. Are you sure? I took the initiative. Of course I'm sure. Are you sure? But Liu Ruian was still dawdling. I turned my face away and waved my hand, pretending to go back to my room. But just as I reached the door, the world suddenly spun, my feet left the ground, and I was pulled fiercely. I subconsciously wrapped my arms around Liu Ruian's waist and looked up into her deep eyes. Liu Ruian pulled him into the room, but suddenly there was a noise from the courtyard. The two intended to ignore it, but the knocking on the door became urgent. Reluctantly, Liu Ruian let him go and turned around. Go see what it is. I'll stay in the room. As I left, she conveniently closed the door. I didn't know what was outside, vaguely hearing a man's voice, and she seemed to be arguing as if the person opposite was hidden from view. Can't see. I'll go see who's here. I came to Liu Ruian's side and saw Chen Yuan with a dark face. Chen Yuan was also stunned when he saw me. He pointed at Liu Ruian, afraid I would misunderstand, and quickly explained, Fan, this is reporter Chen from the newspaper. He wants to write an article praising the front line soldiers. He interviewed other soldiers today and only just got to me. My face was expressionless. We've met. At the hospital. You saved him. I know. I looked at Chen Yuan, still expressionless, even forceful. Reporter Chen is really dedicated to his work. Chen Yuan arrogantly lifted his head. Comrade, yeah, don't misunderstand. I'm looking for Regiment Commander Liu for work. I don't misunderstand. What do you think I think? Chen Yuan stammered. He stood on the steps. It's good that you love your work. I support it. But it's not good to disturb others. What's your status? She is your savior, Not that you saved her, so she has to go along with everything you want. Chen Yuan's face turned pale. If you want an interview, please come early tomorrow. After speaking, I pulled Liu Ruian into the house. Inside the room, Liu Ruian immediately explained. These past few days, reporter Chen came saying he wanted to repay me for saving his life. I refused every time. I don't know why he keeps looking for me. Actually, at that time, several soldiers saved him together. No. I threw out those 2 words, and went to take a shower. Downstairs, Liu Ruian was alone in her room, worried. For the first time, Liu Ruian felt resentment towards a man. After both of us had showered and were lying in bed, no one spoke. The room was quiet. There was someone beside me. Neither of us could sleep. Are you asleep yet? Liu Ruian asked. Not yet. The sound of the lamp being turned off echoed. I nervously took Liu Ruian's hand. Her hand was warm. Liu Ruian knew he was afraid of the dark. Not caring about anything else, she held him tightly and comforted him. It's okay, I'm here. After a long time, I calmed down in her arms and asked, You know I'm afraid of the dark. I know. Liu Ruian's voice was gentle but her breathing was heavy. I remember our relationship was bad before. Actually, after turning off the lights, she would patiently coax him. My heart fluttered, and I looked up to kiss Liu Ruian, but it was too dark to see clearly. I only kissed her chin, but it was a great encouragement to Liu Ruian. After a brief silence, Liu Ruian turned over and pressed on top of me. A woman's breath enveloped me, her vitality like a burning fire. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, enjoying the fiery vitality. When the woman bit his neck, I closed my eyes and held her, accepting her caress. Her hands had calluses, especially her palms, which sent shivers down my spine as they brushed past. It was too dark to see anything, so I could only rely on my hands to confirm the shape of her undulating muscles and slender waist. Tightly pressed together without a gap, Liu Ruian had also held back for a long time and didn't dare to move immediately. In the darkness, her heavy breathing was clear. A sliver of light from the curtain cast a moving pattern on the wall. I tilted my head back and watched the light flicker all night. 2 lifetimes, and he had finally tasted the pleasure between a man and a woman. The next morning, the sun was bright. Liu Ruian woke up early, watered the vegetables in the courtyard, and made breakfast. But it was almost time to go to the military camp, and I still hadn't gotten up. After finishing the last bite of a steamed bun, Liu Ruian wiped her hands and went into the room. Although she had been a soldier for many years, deep down, she was still a young lady. In bed, I was still sound asleep, the blanket having slipped off to reveal my shoulder. Liu Ruian remembered everything from last night, her heart tightening. She took a deep breath, sat by the bed, smiled, and kissed the corner of his lips. I'm going to the military camp. That kiss. I lazily opened my eyes. My biological clock was early, but I was tired from last night, so I woke up late today. Strange, I could research for several days and nights without sleep, but this was more tiring. Liu Ruian stared at me without blinking, afraid I would disappear. Rest well and recover your energy. The night was not over, and I was suddenly kicked. I can't take it anymore. He said, discovering my voice was hoarse. Liu Ruian laughed. What are you thinking? He said to conserve your energy. We have guests tonight. After speaking, she leaned in and gently. If you want, that's fine too. Then I was kicked again. My foot stuck out from under the blanket. Liu Ruian playfully held it, which was a little itchy. I pulled my foot back and wondered what guests. Regiment Commander G and Battalion Commander 88, a couple. To thank them for taking care of you. Liu Ruian knew he was a genius who didn't like to socialize. Not to mention the military wives in the compound, even the engineers at the factory, Hugh could talk to him. It felt fine on my own, as long as I had my research as a companion. But Liu Ruian saw that he was too lonely. Regiment Commander G and Battalion Commander 88 and his wife were his rare friends. She was happy to see he had friends. I thought I had to cook myself. My voice was hoarse. Can we eat out? Liu Ruian saw through his intention. I'll be back early, I'll prepare. After they had decided, Liu Ruian reluctantly left, turning back every 3 steps. At noon, Xiaojian called me. Sister Lin and I opened a canning factory. We promised to let you invest. Are you coming to see it today? Xiaojian and I went to the factory. We were completely unaware that Chen Yuan was following behind us, taking pictures of the 2 of us entering the factory. We entered the factory, which was next to the military district. The 2 of us walked. I asked, where is Sister Lin? She's recruiting. Don't underestimate Sister Lin's connections, many people came to apply. Villagers from all around came. Just from the description, I knew how lively the canning factory was. Initially, Xiaojian opened it because canned goods last a long time, and a can for 12 cents at the supply and marketing cooperative was not enough to meet demand. Xiaojian saw the opportunity and came to the factory. Sure enough, from a distance, we saw a long line for recruitment. Sister Lin was recruiting next to a sign that read, 30 yuan a month, cleanliness required. Seeing that Sister Lin was busy, we greeted her and didn't bother her. After looking around, I said, I'm still not investing. After all, I didn't do anything. How can you say that? We promise. He still refused. Suddenly, an employee came over to Xiao Jiang. Bad news. The machine is broken. The factory didn't have an engineer yet. If the machine was broken for a day, it would delay many projects. Let me take a look. As long as it's machinery, I can fix it without taking too much time. After washing up, the three of us went back to my house. When we arrived, we saw the lights on in the house and heard a woman's voice from the kitchen. Lin Yuzu, help me wash the vegetables. We're guests at his house. Why are you making me wash? Deputy Regiment Commander Liu, why don't you two go sit down? I'll cook. Hearing the three of them arguing, the three of us outside looked at each other and covered our mouths to laugh. Mom, Uncle Ya, Uncle Jian, Sister Lin's child was playing in the courtyard. Seeing his mother, he ran over. The noise attracted the people inside. Soon, Liu Ruiyan came out. It's almost ready. Please have a seat and wait. She then got some melon seeds for the three of them to snack on, while they waited. Sitting on the sofa, the three of them watched the three people busy in the kitchen. Sister Lin complained, my husband is spoiled by me. Look at your wives, they know how to cook. My husband is clumsy in the kitchen. You guys are so lucky to have someone who loves you at home. Xiao Jiang said, Sister Lin, don't say that. They all need to be taught. Then the three of them whispered, asking for tips. Sister Lin asked me, Fan, Regiment Commander Liu only knew how to fight before. How did you teach her? I glanced at the busy figure in the kitchen. I don't know. Just then, Liu Ruiyan turned her head, our eyes met, and we smiled at each other. The air around us seemed to be filled with pink bubbles. I couldn't stand watching. Sister Lin and Xiao Jiang simultaneously closed their eyes and turned away. The dishes were ready, and the seven of them sat at the table. Xiao Jiang's wife, the youngest, looked at Wenya, a typical southern man. She shyly raised her glass. Regiment Commander Liu, I really admire you. It's an honor to be able to eat with you today. Liu Ruiyan also returned the toast, thanking them for their care. The meal was a happy one. The next day, Liu Ruiyan came to pick me up, and we unexpectedly ran into Chen Yuan. She pretended not to see him and was about to leave, but Chen Yuan blocked her way with his arms outstretched. You don't want to see me that much. Liu Ruiyan didn't give him a pleasant look. I am a married woman. After saying this, she was about to leave. Chen Yuan's face turned livid. Seeing her leave, he grabbed the camera around his neck. I've taken some photos. If you leave, I'll publish them in the newspaper and ruin your reputation, and mine as well. Liu Ruiyan suddenly turned back, her eyes like a wolf's. You dare to publish his photos in the newspaper, just you try. Liu Ruiyan knew my photo couldn't be published, but what did Chen Yuan take? Chen Yuan shivered, but his heart was even more unwilling. Why do you only protect him? Liu Ruiyan, I like you. From the first time I read about you, I've liked you. You sacrificed your marriage for the party and the country, marrying a man you don't love, but he didn't delay you for long. He died on the battlefield in 1950, and since then you've been alone. Do you know how much it hurts me to see you like this? Although I don't know why you didn't die on the front lines, we met when you returned from the front lines, and you even saved me. This is fate bringing us together. After his words, Liu Ruiyan didn't listen to the latter half, only the first part, and her heart was extremely shocked. That was what she experienced in her previous life. How did he know? I was also shocked. The reason Liu Ruiyan married him was like a funnel. Everyone knew. Besides, what was this about him originally dying on the battlefield in 1950? He had never been to war. But if Liu Ruiyan hadn't gone to war, the superior would have approved his request to escort weapons to the front lines. That was indeed him. Although she didn't understand, Liu Ruiyan quickly came to her senses. What nonsense are you talking about? You think your dreams have become reality and are talking nonsense. Thinking carefully, in reality, he and Fan were living well, their husband and wife relationship was good, and she would not be lonely for 10 years. Then Liu Ruiyan took Chen Yuan to the political ideology education room, saying that he had taken photos of a high-level national security individual. The matter was serious. If published, the whole world would know my face, and ambitious people would either kidnap or assassinate me. To keep me out of danger, Chen Yuan was educated. Chen Yuan was desperate. I'm telling the truth. I was supposed to be dead. Why is the development different from the book I read? God brought me here to be with Liu Ruiyan. The people in the ideology room thought he was crazy, so they educated him and then let him go. Chen Yuan dazedly left the ideology room and bumped into a dark-skinned woman with prominent whites in her eyes, looking a bit fierce. Chen Yuan was scared and was about to avoid her, but the woman raised her hand, not allowing him to refuse. How much for your camera? I'll buy it. Of course Liu Ruian and I didn't know about this. After returning, Liu Ruian was still worried and reported Chen Yuan to her superiors. Chen Yuan was stripped of his press pass and sent back to his hometown, muttering, "This place is meaningless, I'm going back." Of course that was a later story. That night, Liu Ruian was late getting into bed. I watched her dawdle. "What are you dawdling for? You're usually faster than anyone." Liu Ruian's deep eyes looked at him, and there seemed to be a different emotion in them. I could read it but could only guess that Liu Ruian was still hung up on Chen Yuan's words from today. I sat up and hugged her. "Don't mind Chen Yuan's words. We're living well, aren't we?" Liu Ruian sadly looked down at him. "Actually, I don't understand part of what he said, but part of it is true. Go on." I was stunned, looking up into her dark eyes and troubled expression. She seemed as if she had nothing left to lose in her past life when we were angry with each other. "You applied to escort weapons to the front lines and died there. I also died on the battlefield 10 years later. When I woke up, it was when you slapped me." I clutched her clothes, my mind blank, my lips pale and trembling. "How could that be? Liu Ruian, you were reborn. Are you scared?" My hand fell limply, my pupils trembling. How could this be? Liu Ruian was reborn. He thought he was the only one who was reborn. In his memory, his relationship with Liu Ruian must have been terrible for him to apply to go to the front lines. If he decided on something, who could stop him? So what was this lie? Did Liu Ruian really love him? Or was she, like before, using his feelings to keep him? But he had already fallen for her. Liu Ruian held his hand, feeling his cold hands and feet. "If you don't believe me, just pretend I didn't say anything. Don't hate me." I looked into her eyes. "Liu Ruian, do you love me?" My voice trembled. Liu Ruian didn't hesitate. "Love." My heart trembled. I wanted to believe it but didn't dare. The two of them looked at each other for a long time. "Let's sleep." After saying this, I ignored her eyes and lay down straight. Liu Ruian lay down, only to see his back facing her, a river separating them. Looking at his back, Liu Ruian wanted to get closer but didn't dare. As expected, he found this matter strange. The two of them, each with their own thoughts, slept through the night. But from the next day, the two were no longer as sweet as before. Xiao Jiang saw it and asked, "What's wrong with you and Regiment Commander Liu? Are you fighting?" I shook my head. "I'm just not sure if she loves me." The words came out, and Xiao Jiang denied it. "How could she not love you? Anyone can see that Regiment Commander Liu only has eyes for you." I told him my worries. If a woman sacrificed her marriage to marry a man she didn't love, only because he was useful, and after he died, she didn't remarry for 10 years, was that love? I told him about the rebirth, cutting out the beginning and the end. Xiao Jian was sure it was love. Maybe there was a misunderstanding. Besides, Regiment Commander Liu now is not the same as someone who would sacrifice her marriage to marry someone she doesn't want to. I thought about it, and was then urgently called back to the factory by the director. Behind me, 4 male soldiers and 2 cars escorted me. Seeing this, I knew there was an urgent matter. The car suddenly broke down in the forest, and a rain of bullets came down. The car was filled with the sound of explosions and chaos. Someone pressed down on my head. "Protect Engineer Yai." I felt a bullet fly past my head, and the person on top of me went silent. I sat up and saw that the soldier was dead. The protecting soldiers were still fighting desperately. The enemy had about 10 people. Seeing someone bypass the guards and rush towards me, I didn't think, picked up the dead soldier's rifle, aimed at the person coming, and pulled the trigger. I realized they were aiming for him, wanting to capture him alive. The surrounding soldiers couldn't withstand the heavy fire, and wanted to snatch him. I ran to the driver's seat, drove the car into the crowd, and stepped on the gas. Bang, bang. The front windshield shattered, and glass fragments flew towards me. I closed my eyes, the glass cutting my face and hands, stinging with pain. The car was filled with screams. I subconsciously slammed on the brakes, and carelessly fell into the enemy's encirclement. 4 people surrounded him. "Come down. We only want you alive." My eyes flashed with determination. I would rather die than be a prisoner and betray my country. With that thought, I took a deep breath, shifted gears, stepped on the gas, and turned the steering wheel to rush into the crowd again. Bang, bang. The tires hissed, and the car stopped moving in the forest. When I was desperate, I heard footsteps behind me, and the sound of flesh being pierced. I turned my head and saw Liu Ruian leading reinforcements on the hillside. She was the core. I got out of the car to meet up with them. What happened? Liu Ruian saw his appearance, her eyes dark, a hidden anger in them. "Chen Yuan leaked your photo. You must go to a safe house and hide. I will escort you to the car." Liu Ruian didn't let him speak and pushed him into the car. At the safe house, she sent people to guard the surroundings with armed soldiers. I didn't have time to observe the house. Liu Ruian made him sit on a chair to treat his wounds. This was the first time they had met since their argument, as if they had never fought. Liu Ruian's eyes were full of self-blame. "Sorry, I was late. It has nothing to do with you. Liu Ruian remembered just now. You did well, you bought time. Hearing her words, my heart calmed down. How long do I have to stay here? Liu Ruian pursed her lips. They've already investigated. They were sent by the U country. The two countries were tense and about to fight again. You can come out after the fight. Okay. He nodded. Liu Ruian saw that he didn't want to talk. Get up, I'll go make arrangements. In a critical situation, I didn't know if I would have a chance to speak later. Seeing Liu Ruian leave, I quickly called out. Liu Ruian, I have something to say. Liu Ruian stopped and turned back, her lips pursed. Wait for me to come back and say it. But the wait was 10 days, and Liu Ruian didn't come back. At the safe house, he only read the newspaper every day. Other than that, he only saw the guards and practiced. He couldn't find out about Liu Ruian's situation. One day, the soldier brought his meal, and I looked up to see the soldier's red eyes. Why are you crying? What happened? The soldier probably remembered something and wiped his eyes. Engineer Ye. The Regiment Commander Liu. To protect you. Prepared to move the city. Took the initiative to infiltrate the enemy camp but was ambushed and entered a minefield. Before he could finish, an older soldier came in. Shut up. The red-eyed soldier looked at the older soldier. Why can't he say it? If we find Regiment Commander Liu's remains, the final news must be reported to her family, who is Engineer Ye, right? Hearing remains, I felt like I had been struck by lightning. My heart tightened and my whole body went limp as I slumped onto the chair. The two of them fell silent. The red-eyed soldier cried harder but also clenched his mouth shut. The older soldier just said, Engineer Ye, don't overthink it. Regiment Commander Liu did everything for the country. You should eat. After speaking, he pulled the other person away. The room was quiet. I sat on the chair, lost in thought, my face pale as I looked at the food. The thought of it made me nauseous. That night, the soldier who brought the food was replaced, and he wouldn't say anything no matter what I asked. The next morning, I looked at the newspaper, hoping to find news about Liu Ruian, but there was none. For several days, there was no news in the papers. I couldn't eat or sleep, and my spirit collapsed. For many days, there was no news of Liu Ruian, and he told himself she was dead. The thought made his heart ache. If they were just civilians, maybe it would be better. Working during the day and resting at night. She wouldn't have married him for any other purpose than love. If they were just ordinary people, there were other ways to love the country. But he knew that without soldiers fighting on the front lines, how could civilians live in peace? I thought a lot. At night, I lay in bed, unable to sleep. I just thought the door wasn't closed, and the wind blew it open. I sat up and saw a familiar figure. Even though it was dark, I recognized the silhouette, and a sourness spread from my chest, and I sobbed. Liu Ruian, a woman whose figure stood still. Walked over and pulled the lamp. The light dispelled the darkness, and I finally saw Liu Ruian clearly. Her military uniform was no longer in shape, with several bird spots, and her face was covered in dust, only revealing a pair of bright eyes. Liu Ruian's eyes were locked on me, her eyes hiding in endless longing. Oh my God, I covered my mouth, my eyes shimmering with tears. Just looking at her, I knew what she had been through. I quickly got out of bed to check. Are you hurt? Liu Ruian's voice was hoarse. They are all minor injuries. I came back to fulfill my promise to take you home. Before going back, I still had to ask clearly what Liu Ruian had been through. Liu Ruian tiredly sat on the chair, lovingly wrapped her arms around his waist, and rubbed her head twice against him. Her voice was light. I was just caught in an explosion in a minefield and lost contact with the troops. It's nothing. Compared to that, her black and white eyes sparkled as she looked at him. You care. The heavy atmosphere. I don't mind that she's dirty. I hooked her chin and lifted it. We looked at each other. Remember you said you had something to tell me. Liu Ruian looked at him. You speak, I'll listen. I pursed my lips and closed my eyes. I was also reborn. In my memory, we were married for 10 years but never had a marital relationship. Later, you brought your father and that home to take care of them. I couldn't stand it, and asked for a divorce. You didn't agree. Before we could sort it out, there was an accident at the research factory, and I died. When I woke up, it was the day I got my marriage certificate with you. After speaking, I didn't hear Liu Ruian's reply. I looked up and saw her eyes trembling. I wasn't afraid to tell her. I was straightforward and confident, but why was Liu Ruian so surprised? Liu Ruian wasn't surprised, she was guilty. She knew it was something she could have done. If the true face of Quobit hadn't been exposed in her previous life, she would have treated him like a brother, and brought him home if something had happened. But from beginning to end, she had never thought of divorce. Thank you for being reborn, and still being willing to get the certificate with me. I remembered the scene at that time and sighed. In my previous life, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have gotten it with you. When I came back, I was full of resentment towards you, but now that I've been through so much, I can let go of the past. Liu Ruian buried her head in his chest. Let's look forward. After the two of them talked it out, everything was clear. Liu Ruian was injured again and was given a few days of sick leave. He stayed at home to take care of her. The courtyard was full of soldiers, and usually no one dared to come in or out. The military wives passing by had to take a few glances. Even the gossip group under the tree at the entrance of the compound was smaller. Liu Ruian and I sat on the balcony, occasionally looking at the people passing by outside the courtyard and smiling at each other. These days were also good. I rarely had such relaxing days. Moreover, I had never thought about this kind of life. If I hadn't married Liu Ruian, I would have spent my whole life in the laboratory. Liu Ruian looked at the sky, a smile on her lips. After we retire, let's lead a leisurely life with our children every day. I was only with Liu Ruian. Except for Xiaojian and Sister Lin who occasionally visited, they were his only joy. But entering the courtyard required going through layers of screening, which was a bit troublesome. Moreover, the two of them were busy with the factory and came less often. The time Liu Ruian and I spent together was more. Although Liu Ruian was injured, some things could still be done, and there was no shortage of them. Every time, he was exhausted and lay in bed, while Liu Ruian had excess energy from resting. Liu Ruian buttoned the top button of her shirt, her eyes satisfied as she looked at him like a lump of mud on the bed. Engineer, you guys don't like to exercise. I laughed coldly. Then don't touch me. Liu Ruian's face immediately changed. She hugged him. I'll take you to practice military boxing later. Okay. I closed my eyes. The two of them lived shamelessly like this until Liu Ruian recovered and returned to the military camp. The war ended, and the number of soldiers protecting him was reduced, with only 2 following him. He could also meet his friends. Today, Xiaojian and Sister Lin sent some canned goods. This is a new can of dried mutton that the factory developed. We especially sent it for you and Regiment Commander Liu to taste. Usually, Liu Ruian had no reaction to food and even liked it. But this time, as soon as she opened the can and smelled the mutton, she dry heaved. Xiaojian and Sister Lin patted her back. What's wrong with you? It's nothing, it's the smell. Xiaojian smelled it. No problem. It's the normal smell of mutton. Only Sister Lin was excited and clapped her hands. Oh my god, Fan, Regiment Commander Liu is pregnant. Hearing this, Liu Ruian forgot to retch. I helped her sit down and looked at her pale face, feeling a little distress. Smell it again. As soon as she got close, the smell hit her. Liu Ruian's lips trembled as she backed away. Sister Lin patted me. You're young and haven't had children, so you don't understand. It's like this when you're pregnant, sensitive to smells. It was the same when I had my first child. I was still dazed. Even a genius's brain has times when it can't turn. Sister Lin passed me and helped Liu Ruian sit down. Sit down. You're so smart, your child will definitely be as smart as you. Sister Lin was happy. She also always hoped her child would be as smart as him. In this era, few people read, and children didn't like to study, growing up to follow their fathers into the army. But Sister Lin followed him, and saw that reading was useful. He should still go to the hospital for a checkup. I immediately stood up to go for a checkup, not waiting for a second. 2 rows of soldiers stood in neat formation for training. The sky was blue, and the sun shone on Liu Ruian, her body drenched in sweat. At this moment, a soldier ran over. Comrade Ye called and said your test results are out. Liu Ruian's eyes flashed with anticipation and worry. She handed the training over to him. He take over. After speaking, she ran off. Liu Ruian drove to the military district hospital just as I came out with the report. The two of them bumped into each other at the door. Liu Ruian came forward and quickly looked around to make sure no one was there before hugging him. How is it? My face was expressionless as I handed her the paper. See for yourself. Liu Ruian saw his face and thought there was nothing. She nervously looked at the crumpled paper, but when she saw the 3 words as pregnant, she was stunned. I'm pregnant. Her voice was full of disbelief. I saw her attitude and my face turned cold. What? Is your attitude that you don't want it? Liu Ruian quickly denied it. No, I just didn't think we would have a child. We hadn't mentioned children before. I said to her, what's with that? We've been idle before, isn't it normal to have a child? Yes, let's go home. After speaking, she opened the car door. As I got in, I said, let's be clear, even if we have a child, you still have to work. Liu Ruian was worried. The factory has many weapons, won't you be in danger? No, pregnant military wives still work in the fields. Besides, you're the one who's pregnant, what danger am I in? I was sure. Liu Ruian pursed her lips. Is working in the fields and the factory the same level of danger? But in the end, Liu Ruian couldn't change his mind. I worked until Liu Ruian was 7 months pregnant. Entering the military family compound, she was always stared at by the military wives. Whoa, Regiment Commander Liu's child will surely be beautiful. Her husband is so admirable. I just nodded to everyone and quickly went into the house, blocking out all the gossip. Inside the house, I was already in the room. The gossip was isolated outside the door. The country was developing and gradually becoming stronger. My child with Li Ruian was also born safely. With a child, communication with Li Ruian's parents increased, and my father's remains were soon brought back. Li Ruian's parents said that at that time, his parents were together with them. They didn't distinguish between them and thought they were his parents. They didn't expect this. I didn't say anything. Even if it wasn't his father, it was someone else's father who also sacrificed to protect the country. They were worthy of respect. The days of victory passed like this. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed. The international situation was. I listened to the news on the radio, lazily lying on a chair. I looked outside the courtyard. A big and a small, mother and child, were digging a hole. In 10 years, Li Ruian had 1 foot in her 40s and had long been promoted to division commander. At this age, she liked to potter around the vegetable garden more and more, even pulling her son along. The 9-year-old son was sturdy, a version of Li Ruian, holding a small hoe and digging a hole. I looked at my son's strenuous efforts and didn't know who he took after. Anyway, not him. At his age, he only knew how to read. But compared to the mud-covered children outside, my son was more scholarly. Even so, my son was happy. Li Ruian, go cook, I'm hungry. Li Ruian put away the hoe, washed her hands and feet, and went into the kitchen. Her son followed closely behind. He didn't care about his father at all. Wherever Li Ruian went, he followed. A little tale. Perhaps because I often closed the door to do research. In the past few years, I had developed new weapons that shocked the international community, and my status was getting higher and higher. The motherland had more freedom of speech on the international stage. Despite the storms outside, Li Ruian and I always firmly believed in each other. At night, Li Ruian and he lay in bed. Li Ruian, I feel very happy. Li Ruian hugged him with one arm and held his hand with the other. Me too. 10 years is a milestone for us. I looked at her beautiful eyes, which revealed a hint of worry. I remember you said that in your previous life, you died on the front lines. Li Ruian understood his worry and hugged him tightly. Rest assured, everything is different in this life. With you and our son, how could I bear to die? Even if it's my last breath, I will come back. Before she could finish, I covered her mouth. Don't say unlucky things. I won't say it, but I might be going to the front lines soon. The temporary order just hasn't come down yet. He sighed. We can't avoid it either. When something like this happens, we don't back down. Li Ruian also said, the predecessors plant the trees, and the successors enjoy the shade. I believe that in a few decades, the motherland will be even more prosperous. The two of them held each other tightly. I gently buried my face in her neck, breathing in the deep peace and satisfaction. In our embrace, we seemed to hear the deepest voices of our hearts. Not long after, Li Ruian's official order came down. I was in the rear doing research. Both of us shone in our respective fields, to establish a heart for the world, to establish a life for the people, to carry on the lost teachings of the past sages, and to open up peace for all generations. The road is long, and only through struggle can we hope for a beautiful country and a peaceful and prosperous nation. Google search suggestions display of search suggestions is required when using grounding with Google search.